It's 900 hours Central Africa time on this Monday, the 28th of March 2016. It's Easter Monday. This is Newsroom on SABC News Channel 404, Jumbo Africa. And a very warm welcome as we broadcast live from our Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg to the rest of the African continent. I'm Elvis Preston. I'll be with you until 1200 hours. We're also streaming live on YouTube with the entire show available on our YouTube channel. But we're asking you a question today, and that question is, seeing that you're on holiday and relaxing and chilling perhaps at home, or you're probably working like us, how did you spend your Easter weekend? I'd like to know from you on the Twitter handle at SABC Newsroom. You can also let us know what's on your mind on the Facebook page. But first, let's take a look at all your news headlines. Pakistani authorities have launched a manhunt for the militants behind the suicide bomb that killed more than 70 people and wounded dozens in an attack that targeted Christians. President Jacob Zuma is leading a delegation of cabinet ministers on a working visit to the Gulf region as government seeks to promote the country as a top global tourism destination. Traffic is expected to be congested today as on the major routes as thousands of motorists are heading back home after the Easter weekend. Now those are all your headlines, but before we get to your news, let's find out from Kendall Makamate what's happening on the sports front. A very good morning to you.
Elvis, a very hearty good morning to you. It's Easter Monday. It's a great day for our Christian folk out there. We've been having a wonderful one all along, and good morning to you. Happy Easter Monday. This is what we've got for you in the sports today.
Now, good pressure on Shedru. Ball taken away, trying to catch the goalkeeper.
Limpopo blasts a wonder goal in Bafana's 2-2 draw against Cameroon in the first leg AFCON qualifier.
Here we go, the final over. They need 4. Oh, you might as well hit it for 6. Emestani, the skipper, has done it.
Hosts India overpower Australia in a tense and thrilling contest to grab the last semi-final spot in the T20 World Cup. All this as Jason Day wins the WGC Dell match play, beating Louis Oosthuizen and going on to solidify his new world #1 ranking. That's just a quick nutshell of what we've got for you in the sports. Be back around 10:20 or so with the rest of it. Back to you, Elvis.
Thank you, Kendall. He will be back, as he promised, a little bit later. But right now, your top story this hour. A 3-day official mourning with the national flag flying at half-mast and education institutions closed in the Pakistani city of Lahore has been announced. The death toll in yesterday's suicide bomb attack has risen to 71, with around 340 people injured in the deadliest attacks in months.
Relatives of those killed or wounded in a deadly blast have gathered outside this hospital in Lahore. A suicide bomber targeting Christians has killed at least 65 people. About 300 others were wounded, and authorities fear the death toll will rise considerably.
My 20-year-old son, father of my grandchildren. My son has a 2-year-old daughter. Oh my God, you should not have left me, my son.
The bombing happened at a park popular with many Christians celebrating the Easter weekend. A Pakistani Taliban faction has claimed responsibility. Islamist militants in Pakistan have attacked Christians and other religious minorities often over the past decade. Many Christians accuse the government of doing little to protect them and say politicians are slow to take any concrete steps to improve security.
Now, the chief of staffs of 34 member states of the Saudi-initiated Islamic Military Alliance to fight terrorism have met in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. The alliance plans to create a united front in fighting terrorism. Riyadh announced the creation of the coalition in December, saying that its members would share intelligence, counter violent ideology and deploy troops, if necessary, to combat extremism.
Several members of the group, including Saudi Arabia, are part of the US-led coalition bombing the IS group in Iraq and Syria. Saudi Arabia is also leading a mainly Gulf Arab coalition that launched a military intervention against Iran-backed rebels last year in Yemen. Saudi Armed Forces Chief of Staff says the alliance will not limit their fight against extremists and terrorists and will coordinate all their efforts in combating terrorism in general.
Representatives from all the states in attendance are pledging unanimously to take all necessary measures to implement various related laws and policies and prevent any channel of financial support and other resources for terrorism.
Military chiefs from 5 other non-member states also attended the meeting. The alliance will likely carry out military operations against extremist groups, but stressed that currently there have been no plans to assemble a coalition force.
President Bashar al-Assad has hailed the recapture of Palmyra from the extremist militants as an important achievement in the war on terrorism. Military sources say the Syrian army now has full control after days of fighting backed by Russian air strikes.
A moment of recreation in the historic town of Palmyra, where on Sunday, Syrian government forces backed by heavy Russian support drove out Islamic State. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said clashes continued in small pockets, but the bulk of Islamic State had withdrawn and retreated east. Ancient sites remain not fully intact after being shattered by the militants last year. But now that the city is under President Bashar al-Assad's control, he says it will be rebuilt. And that, the army said, is a mortal blow to militants. The army also said Palmyra would become a launchpad to expand military operations against IS in the strongholds of Raqqa and Deir al-Zur.
President Jacob Zuma is leading a delegation of 5 cabinet ministers on a working visit to the United Arab Emirates later this morning. Now, it comes as government seeks to promote the country as a top global tourism destination for visitors from the Gulf region. Yesterday, the president concluded a one-day state visit to Saudi Arabia.
Cementing long-standing relations that date back many years. Saudi Arabia is South Africa's biggest trading partner in the region, with even bigger growth prospects. Trade between the two amounts to 82 billion rand.
We would encourage our Saudi counterparts to partner with us to foster cooperation in these fields for the mutual prosperity and development of our peoples. South Africa also has a substantive competitive advantage on offer as a strategic point of entry to the Southern African region and the African continent. Opportunities for mutual partnerships between our two countries are almost limitless.
As the two leaders sat down to the business of the day, so did business delegations on the other side of town.
We are keen to develop the trade between the two countries, and we are very optimistic that we can achieve more, not only in promoting trade, but also investment on both sides.
President Zuma took time out to visit the country's historic museum. A memorandum of understanding was also signed to strengthen relations. South Africa and Saudi Arabia have agreed to maintain regular contact. They say this will be a basis to expand trade between the two countries. Mzwandile Mbeche, SABC News, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Meanwhile, South Africa and Saudi Arabia have also decided to rejuvenate the Joint Business Council for Trade and Investment. International Relations Minister Maitin Akwani Mashabane and Saudi Arabia's Foreign Affairs Minister signed an agreement on this.
There was a meeting of rejuvenation again of the Joint Business Council in support of this a very noble objective. We also signed a very important MOU between myself and my colleague, Honorable Minister Al-Jubair, an MOU which focuses on deepening our diplomatic relations by regular diplomatic consultations that will cover all fields.
I believe that the economies of our two countries are complementary. There are certain things that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia provide that South Africa needs, such as petroleum products, petrochemicals, and there are certain things that South Africa has that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia needs. So our economies can complement each other.
Now back home, Limpopo's major routes continue to carry heavy traffic volumes as thousands of motorists are heading back home after the Easter weekend. Authorities say the traffic is expected to be congested at the main toll gates along the N1 between Polokwane and Pretoria. St. Agnes and ZCC pilgrims are continuing to leave their church headquarters in Moria, heading back to various destinations. Traffic authorities say more buses are expected to leave the church this morning. Holiday makers and migrant workers are also on the roads trying to avoid traffic congestion at the toll gates. The traffic officers have been deployed on the province's roads to monitor the traffic flow. Water and Sanitation Minister Nomvula Mokonyane says that many rural areas in the interior are still battling with water shortages because of the drought. She was addressing congregants at the Tyrannus Apostolic Church in the Vaal Triangle. Mokonyane says her department is assisting people in rural areas where rivers have dried up.
Praying for divine intervention. With the drought continuing unabated, a prayer service will be held next month.
We've also given the destitute who are living in rural areas means to collect water because the rivers have run dry, and therefore they need water tankers to bring water to their homes. Hence, we're giving them the water on wheels.
Today, the DA and the ANC put their differences aside for the sake of development.
We feel it's important as government that we must also help this area develop. There must be services here, water, etc. So that as people gather here, we should see the beginning of the building of a new city.
As a church, we are joining forces this morning to pray for the rain so that the Almighty God may pour out his blessings upon this nation. And I'm saying to the whole nation, let's work together as different political parties to save water.
Sophie Mukwege, SABC News, Didier in the Vaal.
Northwest Premier Supremo Homapelo and the Deputy Minister of Defence and Military Veterans, Kebi Mafatswe, have called on churches to pray against any personal attack on President Jacob Zuma. Now, they made this call during a church service at the St. John's Apostolic Church of Prophecy outside Rustenburg.
MKMVA's chairperson, Kebi Mafatswe, acknowledged for his contribution in the St. John Church. He was honored for his service as a freedom fighter and his current role in government. The occasion did not deter him from commenting on alleged meeting between Rupert and senior ANC leaders.
Indeed, these are serious allegations. If it's true, I think the organization is relevant to answer those questions.
Rupert's remarks involving the president has ruffled some feathers in the ANC.
Johan Rupert cannot want to circumvent democratic processes, undermine the democratic processes, disregard the people of South Africa's wishes and will, and decisions they've taken through the ballot that the African National Congress must install President Jacob Zuma. He must go and meet President Zuma to apologize.
Mapatswa says the MKMVA will hold a press conference on Wednesday to comment further on these issues. Cella, SABC News, Rustenburg.
On the continent now, parents from Chibok in the northeast of Nigeria are traveling to neighboring Cameroon to verify whether a suspected female suicide bomber is indeed one of the schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram nearly 2 years ago. The Nigerian High Commission in Cameroon has been in contact with the local authorities who have shown unwillingness to assist in the matter. Now, Boko Haram abducted about 270 schoolgirls from Chibok in April 2014, and 50 managed to escape. This week, reports emerged that one of 2 girls arrested in northern Cameroon carrying explosives claimed to be one of the missing schoolgirls. The girls were arrested in Lumani, a village near the border with Nigeria. Now, these are some of your comments on the social media pages. Now, you heard that a suicide bomber set off a powerful blast close to a children's swing that was set in a public park on Sunday evening in the eastern city of Lahore, killing over 60 people and wounding around 300. Let's take a look at some of those comments. This is what you have to say on Twitter. This one from Umar says, for all who got shahadat in Lahore blast, may Allah bless their souls and may Allah give sabar to their families. Junaid says, I strongly condemn the Lahore blast. These type of incidents can't distort our attention from our target, and target is to vanish terrorism. Or that one from Junaid. This one from Sunil said, just saw a headline, Pakistan hunts for militants behind the blast. Ask the ISI, they will know who did this. Hashtag Lahore blast. Now, there's another one there from McCoy that says, the death toll at Pakistan's Lahore Park blast rises to 72. It's 3-day mourning that is being declared, as you heard earlier in our news bulletin there. Absolutely horrific, that blast there. Now, those are all your comments. We'll take a look at some of them a little bit later, so you have to stay tuned. But let's now take a quick break, and we'll be back right after that.
The deepening hunger crisis in Malawi is threatening the survival of children.
And also it is the life-threatening part of malnutrition.
Malawi is facing its worst food crisis in 9 years.
Mugabe is the world's oldest sitting head of state, ahead of Queen Elizabeth of Britain.
The veteran leader seeks to temporarily forget his party's problems and instead focus on his legacy.
But he shows no sign of slowing down or stepping down from power after 36 years in office.
It's February 2016 and the fees have not fallen.
Some other students are struggling, they don't have money to even pay the rent outside. They're struggling with food and they don't have a place to stay.
I have lost hope in NSFAS. I'm now applying for jobs at funeral parlors to watch dead bodies to finish my studies.
The race to replace Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni after 30 years in power is coming to an end.
Voting him out and letting him hand over power peacefully to another president would be the biggest sign of Uganda's democratic maturity.
Welcome back. Now, Limpopo's major routes continue to carry heavy traffic volumes as thousands of motorists are heading back home after the Easter weekend. As you know, the holiday makers are also on the roads trying to avoid the traffic congestion at some of the toll gates. Now, to talk to us about the traffic, we're joined via Skype by Rob Byrne, who's our traffic reporter. Rob, a very good morning to you. Can you tell us, and I can imagine everybody's on the road this morning, what can we expect today?
Well, Elvis, we can expect very busy conditions. We're already seeing that. Coming back from Moria outside Polokwane, the R71. In fact, it's been busy since last night. So the R71 down to Polokwane onto the N1 bypass. There's already a 20-minute delay on that bypass going down to Church Street in Polokwane. And, of course, all of that traffic trying to get through to back to Gauteng. So that is perhaps today's busiest routing. The R71, the N1 around Polokwane. Undeniably, there will be massive problems again at Transcott Plaza. There always is. That's around the Modamoli area. And although the traffic's all going southbound, you will get caught up going north as well. So Transcott Plaza will be a hot spot today. And we expect that to stay busy right through until the early part of this evening. Other areas that will be carrying big volumes out of Durban, the N3 through Marion Hill Plaza. Also up at Tugela Plaza going through towards Van Riemann. What the traffic authorities on the N3 do sometimes is they can close the N3 to manage volumes over Solaris Pass. And with a big volume day like this, like we've got today, that may well come into effect. It's sort of short and temporary closures, but it just backs you up into Gela, but frees up the traffic going over Van Rienen's Pass. Also into Cape Town, the N2 over Solaris Pass, that will queue as we go into the afternoon. The N1 Huguenot Tunnel will be busy. And traffic authorities in Cape Town telling me this morning they expect big volumes back in on the R27, the West Coast Road, coming down from Langebaan through Melkbos back into Cape Town as well. So it is going to be a busy day. Please just be alert, be considerate to other motorists, and most importantly, be safe in your travels.
Are there any routes that motorists should avoid, Rob?
Well, normally we would say if you're driving between Joburg and Cape Town, a lot of people normally take the N12 just to avoid all the trucks and what have you that take the N1 down through Bloemfontein. But this weekend there are some roadworks on the N12 at Klerksdorp, and also still that closure at Stilfontein on the N12 as well, with about a 20-minute detour through Stilfontein. That's because of the sinkhole. So perhaps although it's busy, the N1 down through Bloemfontein, Colesberg, and then Three Sisters is becoming attractive for a lot of motorists this year. And of course, if you're going the other way out of Moria up to Zanin, keep in mind the 528 Georges Valley Road is closed, so the passenger vehicles can use the R71 route, but no buses and truck traffic allowed on that R71. So that of the two routes that go from Moria up to Zanin, only one of them is open, but if you're in a bus or a truck, neither. So it's the longer way around R81 via Moketsi.
No accidents at this point in time reported, Rob?
Well, there's always collisions, but anecdotally, and I'm hearing this from a lot of the people involved with emergency services, the fatality count is down. Talking to the Chief of Traffic in the Western Cape this morning, he's telling me only 5 fatalities in the Western Cape this Easter holiday. So although it's 5 too many, it is significantly down. And that seems to be the fact that we're getting in from across the country. Lower death rate this year, but, we've got a long way to go. We've still got to get through today and tonight.
Rob Byrne, thank you so much for that update. And Rob will keep us updated if anything comes up a little bit later. Thank you so much for your time. Now, the Road Traffic Management Corporation this year, during the Easter long weekend, deployed more traffic police on the roads. The Rtmc also deployed undercover officers to deal with bribery or any other act of corruption between its officials and motorists. Now, traffic officers are also maintaining a high visibility on all the national routes and high accident zones. High traffic volumes, as you heard there from Rob Byrne, expected today on the N1 between Pretoria and Limpopo. Rtmc spokesperson Simon Zwane now joins us in studio. Very good morning to you, Squire, and welcome.
Good morning, Elvis, and thank you for the opportunity.
Now, we know it's Easter weekend, and people are coming back home now after the long Easter weekend. What do you expect today?
We're expecting very heavy traffic, especially from Limpopo into Gauteng, and on the N3 as well from Durban to Gauteng. That traffic should start hitting Gauteng around afternoon, 1 o'clock or so. We'll see them coming right into Gauteng.
Now, the Easter Monday is always associated with a lot of people coming back, and then you also take stock of what happened over the weekend in terms of accidents and so forth. What is your reaction to the current rate of accidents? Because it seems like there's a downturn in terms of the amount of accidents on the roads.
It's promising, but there's still far too many vehicles on the roads. Already it's 1,700 cars coming from KZN to Gauteng, and we're expecting that to peak to around 2,000 an hour from Limpopo and on the N3. There's still too many people on the roads, but we are optimistic.
Rob Byrne indicated 5 in the Western Cape fatalities. What does the national account look like?
Well, we're still putting together all of those numbers, and we think tomorrow we'll be able to inform the nation comprehensively as to how it looks like. But, I mean, if you look at the major routes, we haven't had any major crashes on these busy routes. The N3, the N1, even the R71. There were some crashes in Limpopo, but it looked to be under control. But the statistics will tell us once we have collated them this afternoon, and tomorrow we'll be able to have a very good picture for how it looks like. Because
on face value, it really sounds good, because in terms of the numbers from the previous years that we've seen, what have you done differently this time as the RTMC?
This time we planned early. We got in all the provincial authorities, the metros, to start with our program early. We understood that it was a very difficult Easter period. We had 2 long weekends. In between that, we had payday, and we know what happens when people have been paid. And we started then our operations very early. You'd know that in Gauteng here, we had Operation Guanel to deal with the taxi drivers that were driving against the flow of traffic. We did roadworthy tests of public transport vehicles. All the buses that were going to go to Polokwane and taxis that were going to undertake long distance trips, we had roadworthy tests done, and we still have roadworthy tests along the roads. So they all now understand that a car can be checked on the road for roadworthiness and be discontinued. So some of the public transport operators are behaving, but we are still concerned about private motor vehicles.
What is the concern with the private motor vehicles?
Our concern is that far too many of our crashes are caused by them. Up to 50% of crashes on the road, it's private motor vehicles that are responsible.
Because there's always a perception that it's taxis and that sort of thing, but as you say, 50%, it's a high number.
It's a high number. Taxis, I mean, Santaco, through their operation Tlokomela, they've tried. There are still about 10% of all the crashes, but 10% too many. They must also put in more effort to bring that down. But private motor vehicles owners must do their bit as well to bring these numbers down. Far too many people are arrested driving under the influence of alcohol. I'm aware in KZN, somebody was arrested doing 213 kilometers an hour, and he was also drunk. That's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. So driving drunk is one of the major challenges that you find yourself, especially with private vehicles.
Yes, and speeding.
And speeding.
And speeding. And people who should know better, people in high-profile professions, like soccer players, they get caught in these things.
Yes.
And you know how many soccer players have died in the past on our roads. We expect them to at least know how to behave on the roads, because their colleagues have been victims.
Now, you've also unleashed a team undercover to check on bribery. How's that gone off?
We've seen some arrests and successes on that. Yesterday, I arrested a female traffic officer attached to the Johannesburg Metro Police Department in Soweto at a roadside checkpoint, and she was taking bribes. She took a bribe from our undercover cop who was driving an unroadworthy vehicle. Was arrested, and the day before there was another one who was arrested also in Randfontein at a speed checkpoint, was also taking bribes. So we are dealing with this problem of corruption, because we understand it also has a contribution to these crashes on the roads.
Now, as the RTMC, you've actually put on more officers on the roads this particular year. Has that made a dent in, one, the accidents, and two, for control on the roads?
It has made a difference. We've been able to assist on the road to make sure that traffic flows freely. We've been able to identify those people who are breaking the law and deal with them. Been able to deal with the people who are driving under the influence of alcohol and speeding.
Now, The strategy to reduce the high death toll rate, it seems like it's working. And is there more that you're going to do to enforce this, to make sure that we don't? Because now we're going into, of course, half-year, mid-year term, and then, of course, December period.
Yes, we will be going back to analyze these stats and understand exactly where the crashes happened and what we need to do in those areas. We already have an idea. It could be in the rural roads, in township roads and villages. So we need to work with the authorities that are responsible in those areas to see what measures we need to put in place to further reduce it. Maybe we need speed calming and whatever. We will be informed by the information that comes up.
The accident toll also is informed by a number of pedestrians on the roads. Has that dropped down significantly as well, of pedestrians dying on our roads as well?
There are still pedestrians that are being knocked through hit-and-run vehicles. And because of the planning of some of the settlements, which are
that's close to the main roads,
roads, and then we still get people who would be victims because they're jaywalking onto the busy roads and all of that. Yes. Yeah, that we will still need to engage closely with local authorities as well to deal with that problem.
Finally, Mr. Tshwane, your advice to motorists and even pedestrians and everybody today that's traveling and going home?
Yes, to pedestrians, please stay away from the roads today. It's busy. We understand there are people who would be hitchhiking back to Gauteng, who would wish that thing was not happening because it's a major risk. And those people who are coming back, plan your trips ahead, plan for rest stops along the road, and be patient. There will be many vehicles on the road. It might take you longer than usual to get back to Gauteng, but be patient on the road, and traffic officers will be out there to assist.
Mr. Tshwane, as always, thank you so much for giving us an update.
Thank you, Alex.
That's Tshwane from the Rtmc giving us the latest there. Now, talking about crashes, Antoine Dimoti has died in hospital in Lille, that's in France, following his crash during the Gent-Wevelgem on Sunday. The Belgian rider, who raced for Wanty Group A Gobert, was 25 years old. Now, condolences and messages of support is coming in on social media, and it kept pouring in. And now, let's take a look at some of your tweets. Remember that you can send your comments to @SABC Newsroom. That's our Twitter handle, that one there. So, this one from Aram says, so terrible about Antoine Dimoti, 25, prime of his life, such a terrible way to go, and he suffered, no doubt, tragic. Rest in peace, Antoine. This one from Sadba O'Shea says, heartbreaking news to hear that Antoine Dimoti has passed away. We are all just here because of the passion for our sport. Rest in peace. This one from Silver Fox says, Antoine Dimoti, very sad news. My thoughts are with the family. Dan Jones says, saddened to wake up to the news of Antoine Dimoti passing. Thoughts go out to his family and everyone at Team Wanty Gobert. These are some of the comments coming in for Dimoti there that died today. Now let's take a look at our Facebook page, and if we can just get it up on the screen there. This one says, Eskom says that it's ready to face the organization undoing tax abuse in court. Now this after Alta threatened to seek an urgent interdict in the High Court in Pretoria to stop a 9.4% electricity tariff hike. Then we see the Transport Safety and Liaison Department says a speeding motorist who allegedly knocked down and killed a traffic officer on the R36 road outside Tzaneen, Limpopo, has handed himself over to the local police station. And then finally, 13 people were injured when the bakkie that they were traveling in rolled on the M1 North Highway after the Grayston off-ramp in Sandton, Johannesburg on Sunday, Gauteng, paramedics said. And for more news and updates, you can find all these on our Facebook page. You go to our Facebook page, Newsroom. Right now, let's take a quick break and we'll be back right after that. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
SABC News. We report, contextualize and present news and current affairs honestly, fairly and fully. We consider it a duty to provide consistent, relevant, useful and top-quality information and analysis. Our mission is to provide credible, accurate and interesting news programming, bringing news into everyone's homes in everyone's languages. Thank you, South Africa, for relying on SABC News for quality news output and for making us your #1 source of information. SABC News, Africa's news leader.
News Today takes an in-depth look on news locally, continentally, and globally. We bring the world to your home. We cover all economy news extensively to keep you informed. We are live to break news as and when they happen across the world. We analyze news using experts in all aspects. Make a date with News Today every Monday to Friday from 3 to 5:30 p.m.
Now, welcome back. And as you know, heavy traffic volumes are expected on Limpopo's major routes as thousands of motorists are heading back home after the Easter weekend. Now, authorities say the traffic is expected to be congested on the main toll gates along the N1 between Polokwane and Pretoria. Now, for the latest on the roads in Limpopo, we are joined by SABC's Michael Maringa. Mike, a very good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning to you, Elvis, and to our viewers at home.
Can you give us an update on the latest death toll there on the roads in Limpopo?
Yes, Elvis, Limpopo was very busy. It was traffic-wise, it was very busy. As it is now, we've got traffic that is flowing from Moria using the R71. They are joining R101 into the N1. The reports that we are getting now is that at the first toll gate, the Nail Plaza, traffic, there's congestion there, and Kranskop as well. Traffic has extended, but we are still on the bypass on the R101 where vehicles are joining from Moria. Majority it's buses that were trapped, if I may put it like that, in Moria because there were a lot of buses. We were at St. Angena's Church yesterday. When we left at around 8 o'clock in the evening, there were still a lot of buses that were still in the church premises that couldn't move out because traffic was a bit congested. But also, let's talk about the statistics in the province. We have learned this morning that a traffic officer was knocked down by a speeding motorist at Tshwane. That brings the number to 17, the fatalities in Limpopo this year. And as compared to 2015, the death toll was at 35. It looks like motorists are dead to road rules this time around, even though the stats are not finalized. But what we are getting is that the number is 17. We'll get the final stats probably tomorrow or a day after. But right now, the roads are very busy. Traffic officers, as you can see behind me, they are busy trying to control traffic buses that are coming from Moria. From here, we'll be moving to the N1, Nail Plaza in particular, at the first toll gates to see how traffic is like there. From there, we'll also be moving to Kranskop to check how traffic is like. Elvis.
Now, St. Angena's ZCC and ZCC pilgrims are heading back home today, as you indicated earlier, with all those buses coming through. If you look at the authorities in terms of their visibility, how have they prepared for this day for people coming back?
Look, they indicated, Elvis, when they launched the Safety Easter campaign that they will be having traffic officers on the road 24/7. And that has been proven to be correct because from Moria up until where we are now on the R101, you get traffic officers every 5 kilometers. At the bypass, just before you enter Polokwane, they've got a traffic mobile office where they are checking the number of vehicles that are passing there hourly. Even here at this intersection as well, we've got traffic officers. They are here all the way to Pretoria, so they have been very visible. Maybe that is the reason why fatalities this year are lower as compared to 2015. Elvis.
Now, Mike, we believe that you spent the day in Moria yesterday. How was the atmosphere, and are you feeling a bit blessed this morning?
Look, Elvis, the atmosphere was good. We were in the presence of His Excellence, Dr. Engena's Bishop Likhanyani, and he was joined by his special guest, that was the Deputy President of the country, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa. There were also some other politicians, the leader of EFF, Julius Malema, and Limpopo, and other senior EFF leaders were there. Government leaders as well were there, business people were there. It was a day of blessings. You could listen to the sermon. The bishop was talking about reconciliation, tolerance, people living together despite the differences in culture and race. So it was a blessing day indeed. Even though we spent the day there, we came out late because of traffic, but it was a blessing day indeed.
Now, Mike, you said that you will be traveling to a number of places to check again. Just remind us where you're going to check again for us.
Look, from here we'll be heading to the first toll gate. That is the Nail Plaza. This is where vehicles that are coming from Polokwane, Mukopane, Mudimule, Libuahome, and other parts of the province are going to use. This is the first toll gate as you leave Polokwane. From there, we'll be going to Kranskop. After Kranskop, depending on the traffic, we might push closer to Bilabila to see what is happening at the other side. But it's indeed correct that we'll be moving, we'll be checking all the routes that are busy during this time of the season.
Mike, you'll keep us updated as we continue. Thank you so much for that contribution. That's Mike Moringa, our reporter in Polokwane, giving us the latest update there from Polokwane. Now, let's see what's happening in KwaZulu-Natal. For an update there, let's cross to our reporter, Mlungisi Kumalo. Mlungisi, a very good morning to you. You at the Marion Hill Toll Plaza, I believe. A very good morning.
Yes, a very good morning to you too.
Give us an update as to what is happening there. What does the traffic look like? It seems like it's gearing up there at the toll gate.
Yes, briefly, we are here at the Marion Hill Tollgate Plaza, where traffic volumes are expected to peak in the next hour or so. But as you can see right behind me, traffic has picked up already. Now, briefly talking statistics, in the last week or so, the MEC has released statistics stating that over 67,000 motor vehicles have been stopped and over 37,000 drivers have been stopped, and a lot of them with many defects such as drunk driving, no valid license, etc., etc. But all in all, traffic has picked up here in the Marion Hill Toll Plaza. We are also expecting the MEC for Safety and Community Liaison, Mr. Willis Mtunu, who will be here with us today to conduct a roadblock. And also another thing is that traffic officials are out in their numbers here in the Marion Hill Toll Plaza. We've got scores of traffic officials coming from the RTM, which is the Road Traffic and Management, as well as the RTI, which is the Road Traffic and Inspectorate, who are here to monitor the whole situation. All in all, we've had over 1,000 cars that have passed through this toll gate in the next hour. We also have our other toll gates across the province, such as the Oribi Plaza, as well as the Mtunzini Plaza, that has also had over 100 cars passing over in the next hours or so. It's very, very hot. Traffic is picking up, but yes, we are expecting a lot of traffic volumes here in the Marion Hill Toll Plaza.
Mlungisi, from what you observe there where you are, is the motorists observing the rules of the road, and are they behaving themselves as they get to the toll plaza there?
Oh yeah, of course, motorists are expected to behave themselves, especially looking at the presence of traffic officials who are here and scattered in their numbers. So surely everybody is behaving themselves. We've just had one small incident where a motorist was stopped and their licenses were checked. I did also observe that they were stopped for quite some time, 10 minutes or so. So that's just the minor incident that we have. We've got the authorities from the eThekwini municipality who are here also out in their numbers. So all in all, to be honest, traffic is going smoothly. Motorists are observing the rules, the laws, and everybody is intact.
Mlongisi, we'll be checking with you a little bit later to find out what is happening there at the toll gate and the areas there if traffic is coming up. Thank you so much for that report, Mlongisi Kumalo, from the toll gate plaza there in Durban. Now, here are some of your comments. There was a fantastic goal scored. Hlompo Kekana's 65-meter goal is making waves in the United Kingdom. Now, Kekana, who scored just after half-time against Cameroon in an African Cup of Nations qualifying in Limbe, which eventually ended in a draw. Let's, in fact, if you haven't seen it, we'll probably show it to you a little bit later with Kendall, but let's take a look at what you have to say on Twitter in terms of that fantastic goal. There it is now. You can see it there. Oh, 65 meters long, and it's in the goalpost. Latu!
Now, good pressure on Shedru. Ball taken away. Trying to catch the goalkeeper.
Let's take a look at some of your comments here. This one from Marks Hops. He says, Hlompo Kekana, it's about time, hey, to express yourself with the big boys overseas in the hope that God will give you strength to achieve that, says Mark Shops. This one from Shankar says, it deserved a win RT at Kai Motlakwa. I'm still stuck on Hlompo Kekana's goal. Hey, Modimo wa Zebediela. This one from Masibulele says, man, oh man, just watch your goal for the 100th time. He says. This one from Key M says, I'm still stuck on Hlompo Kekana's goal. Hey, Modimo wa Zibidiela. This one from Timmy T says, we are proud of you. Do you remember Kosafa against Mozambique and against Orlando Pirates? Hashtag Senzo, rest in peace, from Timmy T there. Now, it seems like those are all your comments. What a wonderful goal, hey? A wonderful goal that put us in good stead, really, to pull off a draw. Remember that that team never lost for a very long time. I think it's almost 30 years. I'm not too sure, but that could be roundabout it, that they haven't lost at that particular stadium. So, a draw for Bafana Bafana there, a good one. Well, now time for the weather update with Philip Hawkins.
Well, thank you very much and a very good morning to you. Let's take a look at what's going on in terms of your weather, and we're going to start off with a cloud update. And first of all, we're seeing a lot of that cloud cover still present over both Central Africa's western regions and the central regions as well. We're also seeing a lot of cloud cover still present over West Africa's southern coastline there. All of this is going to yield rainfall for today and some very dense cloud cover coming into many areas for this morning. And we're already expecting to see some of that rainfall over the West African southwestern coastline there. Towards the western coastline of Central Africa, still seeing rainfall, and that extends all the way through to the east. Take a look at this, though. As we move through the day, we're going to see the intensification of storms over Angola and the surrounding areas. Most of these areas are not particularly heavily populated, but we are going to see those storms nevertheless affecting some inhabitants. Now, in terms of your local weather, what we're seeing is a little bit of cloud cover and rainfall over the southern coastline of South Africa there. Cape Town peaks at 21 degrees for today. No rainfall there, and 25 kilometre per hour wind, so much better outlook for today for Cape Town than the past 2 days. PE peaks at 23 degrees with sunny skies all the way throughout the rest of South Africa. Taking a look north, we're going to see temperatures of 30 and 31 degrees in Lusaka and Lilongwe, respectively. These areas both expect a fair amount of cloud cover for today, dense cloud cover, in fact, and that's going to bring in stormy skies too. It's going to be a wet one for today. Temperatures rising, though, in the dry, all the way up to 36 degrees for Kilimanjaro. No cloud cover there whatsoever, but that pales in comparison to Khartoum. Khartoum today peaking at 42-degree maximums. Now, it is slightly down from yesterday's 45-degree forecast, but nevertheless, still very, very hot there, and direct sunlight, meaning it will feel even warmer than that. Djibouti's at 30 degrees and Massawa 36. These areas both expecting dense cloud cover. Doesn't quite make it in towards Sanaa, though. Doesn't make it across the water body there. Now, the Middle East is still expecting a fairly chilly one there. Take a look at Damascus. A 15-degree maximum is forecast for you. But we're also expecting dense cloud cover forecast for the area, and that's all the result of instability in the upper atmosphere and, of course, a low pressure system bringing in cooler temperatures and cooler winds to the area. Dense cloud cover yielding a lot of rainfall for these areas as well. Tehran peaks at 19 degrees and Baghdad 22. Cairo's at 23 degrees and temperatures dipping as we move further west towards Benghazi to 19, but rising once again in Tripoli. 28-degree maximums for a very, very pleasant day in Tripoli. Marrakesh at 26 degrees under sunny skies as well. In general, a very dry one all the way throughout the northern parts of West Africa, and Las Palmas is not excluded from that. A 19-degree dry maximum for you today. A wet one forecast as we look towards Monrovia, towards Lagos as well. We're going to see those clouds yielding a lot of rainfall here. They're going to start off in Monrovia and affecting Abidjan, and they're going to move later through the day towards Lagos and begin to affect that area. Moving further now towards the south, we're going to see a lot of rainfall continuing in these areas with Bangui at 37 and Kinshasa 33. A lot of rainfall to be seen in these areas as well. This is where you can contact us, email us or call us, weather at sabc.co.za or 011-714-5077. That's your weather for now. Stay tuned.
For victory requires intense effort and teamwork. When you get to it, there is no turning back, because all eyes are on you. When it's action time, nothing should stand in your way. Sports Live tackles and analyzes all the sport action. This is the home of all your sport news, updates, and more. Sports Live weekdays at 8:30 p.m.
Long, we celebrate those who take strides doing good and changing the world.
I really think that education has to be revisited, and it's an integral part of teaching young people skills of the future.
There's always light at the end of the tunnel.
I think that the treatment should be made available, actually, because it's costly. Growth hormones are very, very costly.
Where there is a challenge, we bring hope.
I'm alive. And the brain tumor is gone.
Join your host Buleng Malabati every Friday at 17:30 for more uplifting stories. Found in the Northern Cape is the ancient red landscape that once was the home of the Khoi of Southern Africa. Their rock art is an artifact that was once used as a form of communication and as a language. It gives us a glimpse of the Sands' history and how they lived their lives. The Khoi made most of everything that was around them. Traditionally, women spent 3 to 4 days a week gathering wild plants, often going out in groups to search for edible or medicinal plants. About 400 to 500 local plants and their uses were known to the Khoi.
Everyone, this is the nest for the sociable weavers. Sociable weavers are our famous birds for building the largest nest in the world. So this nest can last up to 700 years or more, because these birds, they are very clever. They don't just build any nest from any tree. They check the strength of the tree, and they know that they came out from trees, they can go for many years. So they come here and then build up this nest. Like I stated, it was built by the sociable weavers. So they work, in socially. They communicate with each other. Some they are providing other grasses. Some they are coming and then just double checking. So this nest can accommodate up to 800 birds of sociable weavers, and can accommodate birds that are very lazy, like the cuckoos, who are very lazy to build their own nest. And even the pygmy falcon bird is so small, it stays also in here. So another thing that is very interesting about these birds is that they don't build their holes on top. They make it very inaccessible for snakes to get them. If you check underneath here, you see there are lots of holes where they are getting inside. Okay, but in the middle here, you see there's a hole with whitish, like a cotton in there. Because this one is a hole for the pygmy falcon. Pygmy falcon picks up these cottons that are coming from this kapok vos, or a common name we call it wild rosemary. You'll see it while we're going to drive. You'll see these small shrubs. They've got these, whitish cottons. So they are quite smelly, and then they even like repel insects and even snakes. So the pygmy falcon is going to put all these cottons in there, and then even here by the hole, so that snakes can come in here because they are very scared of the scent. Okay, so it's a mutual relationship. Pygmy falcon makes sure that the snake does not access the nest, and then the sociable weavers, they accommodate the pygmy falcon. So we work together. It's cooperation. One thing that they are very interesting, they make sure they repair and monitor the nest. This nest can be also utilized by the upcoming generation according to the strength of the tree. If the tree is still strong, they do that. And it's very interesting, the air conditioning in here during the summer month is cooler inside. During the winter month is warmer. So they have developed their own air conditioning system. This is the mokala tree, or the camel thorn tree. That is the common name. And then African's name, they call it camel doren boom. They call it, the name camel or camel is derived from, or is literally coming from the camel perde, which is the giraffe. Because the giraffes, they feed too much on these trees. So this camel thorn tree or mokala, some groups of Tshwane people here in Northern Cape, they call this tree mokala. But from where I'm coming from my tribe, we don't call it mokala. In Setswana, we call it mokhotlo. Okay, so mokhotlo is cultural believed and is also medicinal use. You are not allowed to come and run underneath this tree during the thunderstorms or during the lightning periods, because you're going to get struck by lightning. There's another tree I'm going to show you while we drive along the way. It's called the buffalo thorn tree, Hakenstiek Vakabiki. That one repels lightning, while this one attracts lightning. Okay, if you check their pot, they are designed more like our ear loop. That is why their Latin name, they call it Acacia areoloba, which simply means ear loop like areoloba. So they are designed more like our ear loop. So if you take the pods, the leaves, and the thorn, as well as the bark and the roots, and then you let them dry out, and then you chop them together. You mix that with goat fat. That thing is used as a protective charm during public debates, wars, and while walking in the bushveld or in the wild. None of these animals will charge you. You are protected. This is how even the Khoisan people and the Bushmen have been surviving in between elephants, lions, leopards, cheetahs, because they were protected. This is the buffalo thorn tree. Other African people, they call it Hakenstiek, because if you check their thorns, another one is hooked, another one is pointing straight. So if this one hacks you, this one is going to stick you. Okay. Another group again of African people, they call it Vakabegi. It's just to tell you, just relax, because this thing, if it hooks, it says relax. You are in a hurry. You are too in a hurry. So again, buffalo thorn tree, the Tswana name for it, we call it mokhalo, because wherever they grow, there is lots of water. That is why even the previous farmers, they will, like, if they want to make a drilling hole and getting in an engine, they will go and look for this tree and then make a drainage there, okay, and then pump water from there. And there's another one we saw back there called the shepherd tree, motlopi. Motlopi, if you burn wood of that tree, cows or cattle will produce male offspring. And it's also medicinal use. Unripe fruit of that tree is used to treat diseases like epilepsy, where you go unconscious, like, and then the saliva starts to come out. That's epilepsy. This tree, again, if you check, they've got fruits. When their fruits are ripe, they are black in color. Then you are more than welcome to take one and swallow it. It's quite nice. These fruits, these people from all those thousands of years ago, they were making coffee from this. Let it dry out and then put it in a pan and then a little bit of oil and then fry it and chop it, and they were making coffee from
plants were used in ways similar to Western phytomedicine to treat wounds and heal illnesses. And the mysteries of the Khoi's vast knowledge are being researched till today.
It's 10:00 hours Central Africa time on this Monday, the 28th of March 2016. It's Easter Monday. This is Newsroom, SABC News on Channel 404, Jumbo Africa, and a very warm welcome as we broadcast live from our Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg, South Africa, to the rest of the African continent. I'm Elvis Preslin. I'll be with you until 12 o'clock. We're also streaming live on YouTube with our entire show available on our YouTube channel, so you can go there at any time. But we're asking you a question for today. We're asking you, how did you spend your Easter weekend? Did you find your Easter bunny, perhaps? Let me know on the Twitter handle at SABC Newsroom. You can also do so on the Facebook page. But first, let's take a look at your news headlines. Pakistani authorities have launched a manhunt for the militants behind the suicide bomb that killed more than 70 people and wounded dozens in an attack that targeted Christians.
Good pressure.
President Jacob Zuma is leading a delegation of cabinet ministers on a working visit to the Gulf region as government seeks to promote the country as a top global tourism destination. And traffic expected to be congested today in major routes as thousands of motorists are heading back home after the Easter weekend. Now, those are all your headlines, but before we get to your news, let's find out from Kendall Makamate what's happening on the sports front. A very good morning to you.
Elvis, a hearty good morning to you on this Easter Monday, and as well as everybody else at home, good morning to you and welcome to the show. This is what we've got for you in terms of the sports today.
Now, good pressure on Shedru. Ball taken away, trying to catch the goalkeeper.
Limpopo blasts a wonder goal in Bafana's 2-2 draw against Cameroon in the first leg AFCON qualifier.
Here we go, the final over. They need 4. Oh, you might as well hit it for 6. MS Dhoni, the skipper, has done it.
Hosts India overpower Australia in a tense and thrilling contest and grab the last semi-final spot in the T20 World Cup. All this as Jason Day wins the WGC Dell match play, beating Louis Oosthuizen and going on to solidify his new world #1 ranking. All that and more at about 10:20 or so make sure that you stick around for the entire bulletin. Back to you, Elvis.
Thank you, Kendall. He will be back as promised, but first, let's take a look at your top story this hour. A 3-day official mourning with the national flag flying at half-mast and education institutions closed in the Pakistani city of Lahore has been announced. The death toll in yesterday's suicide bomb attack has risen to 71. Somebody indicated earlier to 73 on the social media pages, with around 340 people injured in the deadliest attack in months.
29 children have lost their lives. The funeral prayers for most victims are scheduled for today. The attack took place as Christians in Pakistan celebrated the festival of Easter. A Taliban faction has claimed responsibility for bombing at a Pakistan public park that has killed 70 people. More than 300 others were injured in a park in the eastern Pakistan city of Lahore. A large number of the victims were women and children, as many mothers had taken their children to the park to celebrate Easter. Authorities say the suicide bomber was carrying an estimated 8 to 10 kilograms of explosive material in his suicide vest.
We're using specialized agencies like forensics, counter-terrorism to investigate. There are certain things that can lead us to the to the probable suicide bomber and the persons who are behind this attack.
Witnesses said the park had several entrances, but none of them had a proper security checking system. All recreational parks in the city were closed after the blast and people were told to stay home. The attack was the worst so far this year in a country well used to large-scale atrocities. The government of Punjab announced 3 days of mourning over the incident. Both the country's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and President Mahmoud Hussein condemned the blast and directed hospital administration to provide the best possible medical treatment to the injured people.
The Chief of Staff of 34 member states of the Saudi-initiated Islamic Military Alliance to fight terrorism have met in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. The alliance plans to create a united front in fighting terrorism. Riyadh announced the creation of the coalition in December, saying its members would share intelligence, counter violence or violent ideology and deploy troops, if necessary, to combat extremists.
Several members of the group, including Saudi Arabia, are part of the US-led coalition bombing the IS group in Iraq and Syria. Saudi Arabia is also leading a mainly Gulf Arab coalition that launched a military intervention against Iran-backed rebels last year in Yemen. Saudi Armed Forces Chief of Staff says the alliance will not limit their fight against extremists and terrorists and will coordinate all their efforts in combating terrorism in general.
Representatives from all the states in attendance are pledging unanimously to take all necessary measures to implement various related laws and policies and prevent any channel of financial support and other resources for terrorism.
Military chiefs from 5 other non-member states also attended the meeting. The alliance will likely carry out military operations against extremist groups, but stressed that currently there have been no plans to assemble a coalition force.
President Jacob Zuma is leading a delegation of 5 cabinet ministers on a working visit to the United Arab Emirates later this morning. It comes as government seeks to promote the country as a top global tourism destination for visitors from the Gulf region. Yesterday, the president concluded a one-day state visit to Saudi Arabia.
Cementing long-standing relations that date back many years. Saudi Arabia is South Africa's biggest trading partner in the region, with even bigger growth prospects. Trade between the two amounts to 82 billion rand.
We would encourage our Saudi counterparts to partner with us to foster cooperation in these fields for the mutual prosperity and development of our peoples. South Africa also has a substantive competitive advantage on offer as a strategic point of entry to the Southern African region and the African continent. Opportunities for mutual partnerships between our two countries are almost limitless.
As the two leaders sat down to the business of the day, so did business delegations on the other side of town.
We are keen to develop the trade between the two countries, and we are very optimistic that we can achieve more, not only in promoting trade, but also investment on both sides.
President Zuma took time out to visit the country's historic museum. A memorandum of understanding was also signed to strengthen relations. South Africa and Saudi Arabia have agreed to maintain regular contact. They say this will be a basis to expand trade between the two countries. Mzwandile Mbeche, SABC News, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Back home, traffic is expected to be congested today on the major routes as thousands of motorists are heading back home after the Easter weekend. Limpopo's major routes continue to carry heavy traffic volumes as thousands of motorists are heading back home after the Easter weekend there. Limpopo Transport Safety and Liaison Department statistics indicate that less people have lost their lives during the Easter weekend than last year on the province's roads. 17 people have been killed in separate crashes since Thursday. During the same period last year, 35 people died on the province's roads. Authorities say that traffic is expected to be congested on the main toll gates along the N1 between Polokwane and Pretoria. Meanwhile, travellers at the Capricorn Toll Plaza on the N1 outside Louis Trichardt in Limpopo say that traffic congestion at the toll gates are causing some delays. The toll gates has been experiencing long queues since early this morning for the southbound vehicles towards Polokwane and Pretoria. Carries traffic from Toyondo, Beitbridge, the border, and Elam. The detour at Botlokwa on the N1 due to road construction is also causing some delays. Now, high traffic volumes are expected today at the Oshoek border post. That's between South Africa and Swaziland. For more on the traffic at the border post, let's now cross to our reporter Mweli Masilela, who's standing by with Joseph Mabuza, who's the spokesperson of the Department of Safety and Security in the province. A very good morning to you, Mweli. And can you just sketch us a picture before you talk to the guests in terms of the situation there?
A very good morning to you. Oshoek is one of the busiest border posts between South Africa and Swaziland. Well, currently it's not that busy. Authorities told us that the border will start to be very busy after 11 a.m. But then I can say that authorities have also deployed traffic officials in different major routes in the province. As you know, that many people will be returning to their various destinations as it is the last day of the holidays. But to give us more on what is expected today is the spokesperson of the Department of Safety, Security and Liaison in the province, Joseph Mabuza. It's the last day of the holidays. Can you just give us an insight as to what happened over the holidays?
Well, it's the last day of the holidays, but then as a department, we're going to continue to provide safety on the road. Our road safety officers and law enforcers will be on the road working because we'll understand that many people are still at their various destinations because the schools are still closed. But we have started on the 20th with our operations, and we are going ahead with our bigger operations, especially on the routes that include your N2, the N4, you have the N11, the R23 and others. Currently, as we are speaking, we do have operations that are taking place behind us. And I must tell you that we've been working very hard with the South African Police Services and other law enforcers. But what is concerning to us is the issue of drunken driving, because we've arrested over 134 people, in particular drivers who were driving under the influence of alcohol. And that is one of the factors that are getting us into trouble in terms of crashes on the road.
Specifically today, are there any major operations, especially on the major routes?
All the major routes will have major operations. As I'm talking to you, there is currently operations that are going on the N2, the N4, because we are targeting those routes which carry a lot of traffic. The N2 will normally carry traffic from KZN, people who are going to Gauteng. The N4 will carry traffic from Mozambique, Swaziland, and currently we're on the N17, which also is used by people who are coming from Mozambique to other destinations.
Besides the issue of drunken driving, as you have mentioned, what other challenges may be that you have encountered so far?
Well, challenges, they will include the crashes that we have recorded since the beginning of the Easter period. We have recorded over 40 crashes in the province, and unfortunately 11 people died on those crashes. Well, the number is still lower if you compare it with the same period last year, but we are not happy because each time there is a crash, a person is injured, another person is killed. So that is why we have deployed all our traffic officers on the road.
At times when it's busy like this, you normally impound vehicles. Are there any vehicles that have been impounded since the start of the holidays?
Well, we as we're talking about operations, normally those operations, we call them K78 operations, where we include all law enforcers. So we do everything. We impound vehicles, we arrest people, we also check on whether people have the appropriate documentation. So we have impounded many vehicles and discontinued vehicles to a variety of reasons. Some are not roadworthy. You will find some, the tires are not in a good conditions, and the drivers as well, because we always encourage that drivers and vehicles must be fit to be on the road.
Well, that's the spokesperson of the Department of Safety, Security and Liaison in the province, giving us a rundown of what has been happening since the start or the beginning of the holidays, and also specifically what is expected today, especially on the major routes. We'll continue to monitor as to what is happening in terms of motorists that are crossing the border into South Africa and into Swaziland. Back to you in studio.
Thank you, Mweli, coming to us live from Osug there, giving us the latest there. Now, the Basic Education Department says that Teachers Union SATU's concerns on the Ministerial Task Team's report on the so-called Jobs for Cash scandal will be dealt with at a stakeholders meeting next month. The department says the meeting will take place before the team's final report is released. Now, this comes after SATU vowed to reject the report, saying it was not credible. Early on, SABC News spoke to the department spokesperson Elijah Mashlanga.
Raising concerns about the content of the report, but basing it on the premises of the report that was given to the minister late last year, which was a draft report. The final report, as you correctly say, has not yet been released, and the minister has given a schedule of meetings, has published the schedule of meetings, saying she needs to go through a process, meeting stakeholders before the report can be released. So it seems on the basis of the draft report which they have seen, they believe that the content is not in their favor, and as a result of that, they are raising a whole lot of issues.
All right, just for the benefit of our public, take us back to why the task team was set up and what was it investigating specifically?
Well, the minister set up a ministerial task team, which was led by Professor John Volmink, after media reports indicating that some people had paid cash for their jobs, and in various provinces that was reported, and those reports persisted, and she felt that there was a need for her to get a greater understanding of what is really happening, because there were all sorts of allegations that were being made and implicating various teacher unions, implicating officials in different places. And the investigation commenced its work and put together that report that has since been given to the minister. And the draft was shared with various stakeholders for them to have a look at, because even before the investigation started, she had meetings with school governing body associations, teacher unions, and parent associations as well, for them to be able to understand what is going to be taking place, because they are involved in the process of appointments. School governing bodies are involved, teacher unions are also involved.
News for now. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back after that.
Pay or renew your TV license at one of the 10,000 outlets nationwide, and you could win weekly prizes. Congratulations to these 10 TV licenses competition winners. Remember, you are still in line to win the grand prize of 50,000 Rand. Pay yours and stand a chance to win.
Welcome back. I'm Kendall Makhamat and I've got your sports on Newsroom, time being 19 minutes past 10. Our top story is with regards to the T20 World Cup, where India are through to the semi-finals of the ICC World T20 competition in their home country. The hosts beat Australia by 6 wickets in their quarter-final match. Australia won the toss and chose to bat first, scoring 160 in their allotted overs. India chased it down in sublime fashion, with Virat Kohli starring with the bat.
With qualification not a given yet for both sides, this final Group 2 match was always going to be a humdinger. The Aussies won the toss and elected to bat first, and boy did they put on a show. Usman Khawaja and Aaron Finch raced to 53 without loss by the 4th over.
And he goes again, this time a little bit wide in mid-on, won't get it. It was close, but it's back-to-back sixes.
Ashish Nehra though stopped the hemorrhaging somewhat when he dismissed Khawaja. And that slowed down the Aussies' assault as the next 2 wickets, that of David Warner and captain Stephen Smith, fell for less than 30 runs.
Yes, the finger goes up, the batsman still.
Glenn Maxwell, though, continued with the run scoring, chipping in with 32 of 31 balls before he was out.
The shot again, and this could be out. Shikhar Dhawan is coming under it, takes the catch.
Shane Watson, who had announced that his retirement from the game would continue after this World Cup, picked up the mantle and led the Aussies to a respectable 160 in their allotted 20 overs.
So here it is, the last ball of the innings. And he's hit it beautifully. And it's out of here, 6 to finish. So they will finish with 160, Australia.
In reply, India knew exactly what they had to do. Score at just around 9 runs to the over, and a semi-final spot is looming in their home competition.
Away with a boundary. First ball to Dhawan is a boundary through the offside.
Then the unthinkable happened.
Does go straight up in the air. Will it be taken? It's taken. Very good from Australia. Dhawan's gone.
Enter Virat Kohli. But then Rohit Sharma let it slip.
He just knows what he's doing, Shane Watson. He has a gut feel about the batsman. And Australia have 2.
Watson was not done. Suresh Raina giving the all-rounder his second of the evening.
On that given. Watson has another. Australia have 3.
With wickets falling at regular intervals, it was then up to Yuvraj Singh and Virat Kohli to guide India home.
The bottom hand of Virat Kohli gets a boundary.
And King Kohli delivered.
He advances, he goes in the air. There is long off, he can only watch it go over his head. 4-4-6. Was to the man, but hit too hard. That hurts Australia, that hurts them so much.
India cruising home by 6 wickets.
Here we go, the final over, they need 4. Well, you might as well hit it for 6. MS Dhoni, the skipper, has done it. India have made the semi-finals of the ICC World 2020. They have brought their best to Chandigarh. We haven't really seen their best game, and we knew today was going to be a special game, Sonny. These 2 always have a humdinger of a game. What a beauty we've witnessed.
Absolute beauty.
Tabiso Sitola, SABC News.
Fantastic match report that Tabiso put together there. Now, in the earlier match, Afghanistan beat the West Indies by 6 runs in their final World Cup 2020 match in Nagpur, as the West Indians stumbled to 117 for 8 in pursuit of their opponents' 123. Sunday's result does not change the outcome of Group 1. The Islanders finished as group winners and will still play India in the semi-finals.
West Indies skipper Darren Sammy won the toss and opted to field. Samuel Badri then went on to take quick top-order wickets, taking 30 wickets for 14 runs to leave Afghanistan struggling on 52 for 4 in the 10th over. Badri bowled opener Usman Ghani with the batsman on 4 before breaking the partnership of Mohammad Shahzad and captain Asghar Stanikzai, which added 25 runs for the second wicket. But Najib Zedran steadied the ship with an unbeaten 48 of 40 balls that included 4 fours and a 6. At this stage, the West Indies had won all their group matches. They also came into the match already through to the semi-finals and decided to rest batsman Chris Gayle. West Indies needed to reach a target of 124. Having only narrowly chased 123 against South Africa, this time they came unstuck. Carlos Braithwaite hit 2 sixes to give them hope, but with 10 required off the final over, he was brilliantly caught by Zadran.
Fielder gets underneath, a brilliant catch. Absolutely superb catch by Najib.
The Islanders will advance to the last 4, though with major concerns. Andre Fletcher retired injured and will be a fitness doubt for the semi-finals. In the women's match, the West Indies knocked India out of the tournament. They secured a semi-final spot as they won by 3 runs. Put into bat first, West Indies presented a decent performance against India's bowling attack, posting 114 for 8 in 20 overs. Chasing a total of 115, India suffered early blows. Captain Matali Raj was bowled out for a duck on the very first ball. Despite that fall, the Indian team got stabilized in the forthcoming overs but missed on reaching the target. SABC News.
Now, Bafana Bafana will rue their missed chances when they come back for the second leg in the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. They allowed Cameroon to come back twice to force a 2-2 draw in a crucial match played in Limpopo, Cameroon. Bafana needed to win their away match to be in contention for the continental showpiece.
Bafana coach Shakes Mashaba played his cards close to his chest. It was expected that he will start by slowing the pace, absorb the pressure, then attack at the right time. However, Mashaba, who insisted on fielding players with loads of experience, attacked at first whistle. Goalkeeper Itumile Nkune, who last played for Bafana in November against Angola for the 2018 World Cup qualifiers, was in devastating form. Cameroon drew, but remains on top of Group M with 7 points, while Bafana's result against Cameroon has dented their chances of qualifying for the Gabon AFCON finals. Bafana's Thompo Kekana, who last played for South Africa 2 years ago, scored a contender for Goal of the Year.
Can you believe it?
Mashaba made 4 changes from the side that played Angola in the World Cup qualifiers in Durban, while Cameroon made 5 changes from the side that played Niger on November last year. Bafana should pick up from where they left off, but avoid being complacent in their return match on Tuesday. Tembashiba, SABC News.
And of course, I'm sure you've got lots to say about that particular goal of Thompo Kekana's on social media, as well as the T20 World Cup, but I'm sure we'll have those for you in the next bulletin. Banyana Banyana, whose preparations for the 2016 Olympic Games have been fruitful so far, got a 2-0 win over Cameroon over the weekend. The clash was the first of 2 international friendlies against their Cameroonian counterparts in Douala, with the second encounter taking place tonight. After their 2-0 win against Cameroon's women's national team at the Reunification Stadium in Douala on Friday the 23rd of March, Banyana Banyana are in full preparation for the second installment taking place at the Omnisport Stadium in Limbe at 7 p.m. tonight.
The game that we'll be playing is very important, looking at the fact that we didn't really play well in our first game, but we managed to win 2-0. But we've been working with the coach. The coach has been trying to rectify all the mistakes that we've done, and we're very confident as a team that will do well.
For Banyana Banyana, the second round against the Lionesses is not only a practice match, but a significant milestone for skipper Janine van Wyk, who will be playing her 125th game, making her the most capped female footballer in South African history.
I'm really honored to be representing my team, my country, and each and every time I step out on the field of play for my country, you know, I always go out there and give my best. I've never thought that I would come such a long way with the team. It's been 11 years participating in the team as a country. For me, it's an honor and a privilege, and hopefully I could, you know, reach many more caps.
She breaks the former captain of Banyana Banyana's stellar record of 124 caps. The team feels confident that they were prepared for the match and are looking forward to entertaining football against Cameroon's Lionesses. Now, Louis Oosthuizen lost out in the WGC Dale match play title to Australian Jason Day, who returned to #1 in the world. Day beat Oosthuizen 5-4 in the final to clinch his 6th win in his last 13 tournaments worldwide. Day, who sank a 12-foot par putt at the final hole to beat defending champion Rtmc, one up in the semi-final, was already assured of regaining his world #1 ranking from American Jordan Spieth. Then Oosthuizen, the 16th seed, qualified for the final when he beat Spaniard Rafa Cabrera-Bello 4-3 in the other semi. In the match for third place, Cabrera-Bello beat McIlroy 3-2. They lost the first hole of the final, but that was his only setback and turned the back nine into a victory march. His 9th career PGA Tour victory was his second in as many weeks after he triumphed at the Arnold Palmer Invitational last week. He'll now have a week off to recharge before the first major of the year, the Masters, where he will surely be the man to beat. And that's where we leave it with the sports. We take a short break, and of course after that we continue with the news. Stay tuned.
As stories are broken around the world, SABC makes sure you do not miss out. As the stories unfold throughout the day, News at 8 updates all newsworthy stories worldwide. Globally, we are there. Locally, we leave no story untold. Make a date with News at 8 every Saturday and Sunday on SABC News, Africa's news leader.
The public protector Cella had a tough time motivating for a baseline increase of 200 million for her office budget.
We need to have a feel and idea of what types of cases you are handling.
Have we addressed the structural deficiencies that led to procurement irregularities? The answer is yes.
For now, we are in a difficult situation. We are applying austerity measures.
Don't betray your trust to the people of South Africa because you have personal issues with them.
We need to protect the public protector and unashamedly doing so because she represents the hope of the people of South Africa.
I am leaving this office next year. Treat this office as a constitutional body.
A View from the House, weekdays, 2:30 p.m. CAT on SABC News.
Get all the latest news from the SABC's online news services on our website. Breaking news and in-depth coverage of everything from business, sports to politics and lifestyle. Catch the top news clips and watch live streaming of major news events on the SABC News YouTube channel whenever. Stay connected on the SABC News Facebook page and have your say on news that matters to you. And for the latest headlines and live updates from our reporters, follow us on Twitter. SABC Digital News, anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back. The Road Traffic Management Corporation has deployed more traffic police on the road. The Rtmc also deployed undercover officers to deal with bribery or any other act of corruption between its officials and motorists. High traffic volumes are expected today on the N1 between Pretoria and Limpopo. Now, earlier, we spoke to Rtmc spokesperson Simon Tshwane and said that they are ready to deal with today's traffic congestion.
We're expecting very heavy traffic, especially from Limpopo into Gauteng, and on the N3 as well from Durban to Gauteng. That traffic should start hitting Gauteng around afternoon, 1 o'clock or so. We'll see them coming right into Gauteng.
Now, the Easter Monday is always associated with a lot of people coming back, and then you also take stock of what happened over the weekend in terms of accidents and so forth. What is your reaction to the current rate of accidents? Because it seems like there's a downturn in terms of the amount of accidents on the roads.
It's promising, but there's still far too many vehicles on the roads. Already it's 1,700 cars coming from KZN to Gauteng, and we're expecting that to peak to around 2,000 an hour from Limpopo and on the end. There's still too many people on the roads, but we are optimistic.
Rob Byrne indicated 5 in the Western Cape fatalities. What does the national account look like?
Well, we're still putting together all of those numbers, and we think tomorrow we'll be able to inform the nation comprehensively as to how it looks like. But, I mean, if we look at the major routes, we haven't had any major crashes on these busy routes. The N3, the N1, even the R71. There were some crashes in Limpopo, but it looked to be under control. But the statistics will tell us once we've collated them this afternoon, and tomorrow we'll be able to have a very good picture for how it looks like.
Because on face value, it really sounds good, because in terms of the numbers from the previous years that we've seen, what have you done differently this time as the RTMC?
This time we planned early. We got in all the provincial authorities, the metros, to start with our program early. We understood that it was a very difficult Easter period. We had 2 long weekends. In between that, we had payday, and we know what happens when people have been paid. And we started then our operations very early. You'd know that in Gauteng here, we had Operation Guanel to deal with the taxi drivers that were driving against the flow of traffic. We did roadworthy tests of public transport vehicles. All the buses that were going to go to Polokwane and taxis that were going to undertake long distance trips, we had roadworthy tests done, and we still have roadworthy tests along the roads. So they all now understand that a car can be checked on the road for roadworthiness and be discontinued.
California police arrested a carjacking suspect in the Simi Valley area after a high-speed chase. Police pursued a driver suspected in a carjacking and managed to stop her truck after performing a precision immobilization technique maneuver in the residential streets of the Canoga Park area.
2 to 3 miles here as the traffic goes into the San Fernando Valley out of the Calabasas area, but he's been driving on the center divider and on the shoulder here at a high rate of speed. But now look at this, he's got a CHP unit right ahead of him, and he's going to swerve in and out of traffic here, try to avoid that officer there, but continuing a very dangerous pursuit again at high rates of speed through the San Fernando Valley into Simi Valley and now into the Calabasas area. No, just the 2 units, but I can tell you that there's other units in the area. I can tell you, yeah, I can tell you getting it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, here it goes. There it is. Nope, almost got him, but continuing on there. Might do it again here. Here we go. Pit maneuver, and there it is. They got him. Let's. Yeah, this is very dangerous for those officers. Very dangerous for those officers as this guy tries to get the car back in motion, and you can see their arm. He's coming out with his hands up, and is that a woman? It's a. Oh, look at that. She's trying to carjack the police officer's car. Unbelievable. Slamming her to the ground. It is over at this point, but it's a female driver trying to carjack the officer's vehicle. Unbelievable. What nerve. This is a termination that she took that truck by force, and that's when the pursuit took off. So carjacking that pickup truck you see at the top of your screen, and early on, that's what started this whole caper here. And then police got behind the unit, or behind the truck on the freeway on the 118. Traveling all the way out to the Moore Park area, and then back through Calabasas on the 101. That's where she dramatically exited the freeway.
Unbelievable scenes coming from the U.S. there. A woman driver. Can you believe it? Now, here in Africa, Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe has arrived in Japan, in Tokyo, for a state visit. The president and his wife, Grace, met with the Japanese Emperor Akihito and the Empress Michiko as he began his official visit to Japan. President Mugabe and the First Lady were invited by the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to strengthen diplomatic ties ahead of the 6th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, or TICAD. The conference will be held in August in Kenya. President Mugabe will later today meet with the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe for high-level talks and dinner. TICAD is an initiative created in 1993 by the Japanese government, the United Nations Development Programme, the African Union Commission, and the World Bank to further develop Africa's economy. Now, parents from Chibok in the northeast of Nigeria are traveling to the neighboring Cameroon to verify whether a suspected female suicide bomber is indeed one of the schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram nearly 2 years ago. The Nigerian High Commissioner in Cameroon has been in contact with local authorities who have shown a willingness to assist in the matter. Boko Haram abducted about 270 schoolgirls from Chibok in April 2014. 50 managed to escape. This week, reports emerged that one of 2 girls arrested in northern Cameroon carrying explosives claimed to be one of the missing schoolgirls. The girls were arrested in Lamani, a village near the border with Nigeria. Now, Pope Francis has addressed thousands in his Easter weekend message. He urged the masses to use weapons of love to combat the evil of blind and brutal violence.
In a packed St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis rode in on Sunday with a message of peace on Easter. After a month that has seen deadly attacks in Belgium, Turkey, Ivory Coast, and elsewhere, the Argentine pontiff spoke of violence, injustice, and threats to peace.
Signore Gesù, nostra pace.
May the Lord Jesus, our peace, by his resurrection triumphed over evil and sin, draw us closer on this Easter feast to the victims of terrorism, that blind and brutal form of violence which continues to shed blood in different parts of the world.
Francis urged the people to channel the hope of Easter in order to defeat the evil of those attacks, using what he called weapons of love.
With the weapons of love, God has defeated selfishness and death.
And with that message, Francis said farewell.
Buon pranzo pasquale e arrivederci.
The U.S. civil rights leader, anti-apartheid campaigner, and former mayor of Atlanta, Andrew Young Jr., has received the Freedom of the City in Durban. Now, he is the second person to be awarded this honor. The first was the late former president, Nelson Mandela.
Cheer and praise for a friend of the city. The crowd marched to honor the former mayor of Atlanta and former United States ambassador to the United Nations. Young Jr. is renowned for his work in the civil rights movement. As Atlanta mayor, he gave assistance to the city of Durban before 1994 and donated books, medical supplies, and communication equipment.
I receive it for all of those who helped in the struggle. And I just happened to be one who lasted a little longer. But I first came to Durban in 1974.
Young was recently presented with the Order of Companion of O.R. Tambo, the country's highest accolade to a non-South African.
He put his shoulder to the wheel in the struggle for justice here in South Africa. During the dying days of apartheid, he also assisted us, in particular the people of KwaZulu-Natal.
We thought that it is important for us to honor him while he's alive. As you know, that he is now 84 years old, and we said, let's make sure that while he's around the country, South Africa, we need to honor him.
His many accolades, Young Jr. was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by U.S. President Barack Obama. He holds over 45 honorary degrees from universities globally. Lungisi Kumalo, SABC News, Durban.
A wonderful accolade for Andrew Young Jr. If you're in Johannesburg for the long weekend, the Rand Easter Show should be on your to-do list. The expo, which kicked off on Friday at Nasrec, south of Johannesburg, is a perfect outing for the whole family.
Shopping may be a girl's best friend, but for the men, a daunting task. This year, the man cave aims to be the perfect escape for husbands and dads.
So it's all about putting entertainment in that man cave that we believe will keep men preoccupied. Cars, motorbikes, caravans, sport. It's all about saying to the men, here's an opportunity for you to spend some time in a man cave while your wife and your family go and enjoy themselves with everything else that's on offer at the Rand Show.
The theme for this year's expo is edutainment.
We've got a whole lot of activations all around the site for kids and teenagers where they can enjoy themselves and still learn about what's been put on offer.
From science experiments, mind-boggling puzzles and activities, the Science and Technology Hall captivated young and old.
He blows up things and it's scary, but it's actually fun also at the same time.
It's very nice, been very informative. I think for the kids it's not just fun, but it's very educational as well this year.
Another favorite was the South African National Defence Force arena. The Army and Navy demonstrated their capabilities, wowing the crowd with their skills.
So I've seen the army, I've seen people shooting, I tried shooting, it's very nice.
Totally awesome, I'm having lots of fun and I really enjoyed shopping around and seeing all the amazing things.
The Rand Expo show runs daily until the 3rd of April. Hasina Gori, SABC News, Soweto.
Now, if you're in the Northern Cape, the Northern Cape's annual Diamonds and Doorns Festival continues to grow in leaps and bounds. Now, the festival, which is sponsored by the Solplaatje municipality, is held during the Easter weekend and draws crowds from across the country. It is now in its 15th year.
Hundreds of revelers descended to the Langley Pleasure Resort near Kimberley for the festivities. Some come early during the day to socialize and bribe their meat before being entertained by top national artists. They say it's one of the events in their calendars they usually look forward to.
Fun, flair and fabulosity, that's all I can say.
We're enjoying ourselves with some drinks. And I'm happy to be here, let me put it like that.
Artists say they enjoy performing at the event as they always get a warm reception from the crowd.
I love coming to Kimberley because people really love music, they really appreciate artists, and they really support local music. We have a lot of fun.
I'm happy it's my first time being here. I'm looking forward to entertaining, giving people what they want, which is good music.
Our music gets out there to the people, so I'm very grateful to be here. As I just said to you now, it's my second time around. I'll be performing Nonati, performing songs like Noma Ganjani.
Organizers say the event helps to put the province on the map while also positively contributing to the provincial economy.
One-day show. It's a 4-day program. Sold out today, sold out yesterday. A good gospel show, a very good comedy show. So we had a great show, of course.
Organizers hope next year's event will be even bigger and better. Nebelungu Noapane, SABC News, Langley Pleasure Resort near Kimberley.
Well, that's the place to hang out over weekend, isn't it? Eh? Lots of events taking place there in Kimberley. Well, we'll take a break right now, and we'll be back right after that.
We're heading to a future of cars that will drive themselves and a place where robots will be doing some of our chores. But the challenge in Africa is to make sure that everyone is part of this new world.
To be behind with technology, it is a challenge for us as offenders.
There are many initiatives to ensure that Africans are truly connected.
We're now giving more access and internet to now the end users.
On Network, we have information on Africa's technology landscape, possibilities for the future, and some great African innovations. That's Network with me, Spumelele Zondi, every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central African Time.
Malema, when pregnant with her first daughter, Relebogile knew that she wanted her daughter not to experience any identity issues. This is when she decided to look for toys that resembled Black as Beautiful.
I think for me, it was also just to get our girls to have some sense of identity, some sense of belonging.
I grew up having black and white dolls, and going to a multiracial school, I did not really see color. So for me, it's this thing of she should actually know what her true identity is.
Join your host, Buleng Mulebate, on Bopilong every Friday at 17:30.
SABC News. We report, contextualize and present news and current affairs honestly, fairly and fully. We consider it a duty to provide consistent, relevant, useful and top-quality information and analysis. Our mission is to provide credible, accurate and interesting news programming, bringing news into everyone's homes in everyone's languages. Thank you, South Africa, for relying on SABC News for quality news output and for making us your #1 source of information. SABC News, Africa's news leader.
Trends follows fashion designers, cultural and lifestyle issues when and as they happen.
I'm always excited to see what the new fresh talent is bringing along. I'm always excited to see the direction that the designers are going in.
We celebrate the brilliant works of playwright in Mpumalanga.
When everybody else talk about their own challenges, some talk about maybe the whaling that happens around Japan and other areas, I can be able to say, look, we have been confronted with the problem whereby our rhino population is going down.
We never miss previews of movies locally and abroad just to keep you informed.
So I'm a partner.
Welcome to the big boys.
Join Refulo Mula for that 1-hour weekly dose of arts and entertainment news every Friday at 9 p.m. on Trends.
Well, thank you very much and a very good morning to you. Let's take a look at what's going on in terms of your weather, and we're going to start off with a cloud update. And first of all, we're seeing a lot of that cloud cover still present over both Central Africa's western regions and the central regions as well. We're also seeing a lot of cloud cover still present over West Africa's southern coastline there. All of this is going to yield rainfall for today and some very dense cloud cover coming into many areas for this morning. We're already expecting to see some of that rainfall over the West African southwestern coastline there. Towards the western coastline of Central Africa, still seeing rainfall, and that extends all the way through to the east. Take a look at this, though. As we move through the day, we're going to see the intensification of storms over Angola and the surrounding areas. Most of these areas are not particularly heavily populated, but we are going to see those storms nevertheless affecting some inhabitants. Now, in terms of your local weather, what we're seeing is a little bit of cloud cover and rainfall over the southern coastline of South Africa there. Cape Town peaks at 21 degrees for today. No rainfall there, and 25 km/h wind, so much better outlook for today for Cape Town than the past 2 days. PE peaks at 23 degrees with sunny skies all the way throughout the rest of South Africa. Taking a look north, we're going to see temperatures of 30 and 31 degrees in Lusaka and Lilongwe, respectively. These areas both expect a fair amount of cloud cover for today, dense cloud cover, in fact, and that's going to bring in stormy skies, too. It's going to be a wet one for today. Temperatures rising, though, in the dry, all the way up to 36 degrees for Kilimanjaro. No cloud cover there whatsoever, but that pales in comparison to Khartoum. Khartoum today peaking at 42-degree maximums. Now, it is slightly down from yesterday's 45-degree forecast, but nevertheless still very, very hot there, and direct sunlight, meaning it will feel even warmer than that. Djibouti's at 30 degrees and Massawa 36. These areas both expecting dense cloud cover. Doesn't quite make it in towards Sanaa, though. Doesn't make it across the water body there. Now, the Middle East is still expecting a fairly chilly one there. Take a look at Damascus. A 15-degree maximum is forecast for you. But we're also expecting dense cloud cover forecast for the area, and that's all the result of instability in the upper atmosphere and, of course, a low-pressure system bringing in cooler temperatures and cooler winds to the area. Dense cloud cover yielding a lot of rainfall for these areas as well. Tehran peaks at 19 degrees and Baghdad 22. Cairo's at 23 degrees and temperatures dipping as we move further west towards Benghazi to 19, but rising once again in Tripoli. 28-degree maximums for a very, very pleasant day in Tripoli. Marrakesh at 26 degrees under sunny skies as well. In general, a very dry one all the way throughout the northern parts of West Africa, and Las Palmas is not excluded from that. A 19-degree dry maximum for you today. A wet one forecast as we look towards Monrovia, towards Lagos as well. We're going to see those clouds yielding a lot of rainfall here. They're going to start off in Monrovia and affecting Abidjan, and they're going to move later through the day towards Lagos and begin to affect that area. Moving further now towards the south, we're going to see a lot of rainfall continuing in these areas with Bangui at 37 and Kinshasa 33. A lot of rainfall to be seen in these areas as well. This is where you can contact us, email us or call us, weather at sabc.co.za or 011-714-5077. That's your weather for now. Stay tuned.
We celebrate those who take strides doing good and changing the world.
I really think that education has to be revisited, and it's an integral part of teaching young people skills of the future.
There's always light at the end of the tunnel.
I think that the treatment should be made available, actually, because it's costly. Growth hormones are very costly.
Where there is a challenge, we bring hope.
I'm alive. And the brain tumor is gone.
Join your host Buleng Mulabati every Friday at 17:30 for more uplifting stories. Children represent the future, and ensuring their health and development ought to be a prime concern of all societies. Thousands of children under the age of 5 die every year of mainly preventable causes. HIV and AIDS-related diseases are still a major cause of death in young children, followed by pneumonia and acute diarrhea. Malnutrition is a major contributing factor to child death. 1 in 4 children is stunted, and many are deficient in minerals essential in preventing disease and disability.
So South Africa is a party to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which states that a child has the right to the highest attainable standard of living. Our own constitution confers the right to an environment that's not harmful to his or her health, and for children specifically, it confers the right to adequate nutrition and basic healthcare services. I think that is quite important for people to understand.
Section 28 of the Constitution is devoted to children and outlines their rights.
Although there are efforts to ameliorate their plight, the situation for many children remains dire. As far as child health is concerned, challenges that exist are a lack of education, as well as aspects such as challenges in the healthcare system with regard to finances, infrastructure and resources. Also in South Africa, there's a large amount of inequity. That is a vast distinction between children living in affluence and those in poverty, and this is reflected in the child's state of health.
A study conducted by Human Sciences Research Council reveals that poor health care, low immunization rates, and misguided infant feeding practices also contribute to poor health in pregnant women and children.
During pregnancy, ensure that no drugs are taken, that there's no smoking and no drinking, that parents ensure that they are as informed as possible surrounding child health, that positive habits are practiced in order to ensure that the child's environment is clean and healthy, then aspects such as immunization and ensuring that the child is taken to a healthcare facility when or if the child becomes ill.
Of great concern are the high death rates of newborn babies. Almost 40% of all under 5 deaths occur in the first 28 days of life, according to UNICEF.
Infant mortality rate, under 5 mortality rates remain high, and maternal health remains a continuing issue. Many children live far away from a healthcare facility, and many children suffer from child hunger and malnutrition, which leads to stunting and impairment of development.
It's important that the society ensures that children's rights are protected, even at a global level. At least 4 of the new Sustainable Development Goals relate to child health.
It's 1100 hours Central Africa time on this Monday, the 28th of March 2016. It's Easter Monday. This is Newsroom on SABC News, Channel 404. Jumbo Africa, and a very warm welcome to the final hour as we broadcast live from Auckland Park, Johannesburg, to the rest of the African continent. I'm Elvis Preslin, and I'll be with you until 1200 hours. We're also streaming live on YouTube with the entire show available on our YouTube channel. Question of the day, we're asking you, how did you spend your Easter weekend? Let us know on the Twitter handle at SABC Newsroom. Also like us on the Facebook page. But first, let's take a look at your news headlines. Pakistani authorities have launched a manhunt for the militants behind the suicide bomb that killed more than 70 people and wounded dozens in an attack that targeted Christians. President Jacob Zuma is leading a delegation of cabinet ministers on a working visit to the Gulf region as government seeks to promote the country as a top global tourism destination. And traffic expected to peak today on major routes as thousands of motorists are heading back home after the Easter weekend. Now, those are all your news headlines, but before we get to the news, let's find out from Kendall what's happening on the sports front. A very good morning.
Elvis, good morning to you, and a hearty good morning to everybody at home as well on this beautiful Easter Monday. This is what we've got for you in the sports today.
Now, good pressure on Shedru. Ball taken away, trying to catch the goalkeeper.
Limpopo Kikana blasts a wonder goal in Bafana's 2-2 draw against Cameroon in the first leg AFCON qualifier.
Here we go, the final over. They need 4. Oh, you might as well hit it for 6. Emestani, the skipper, has done it.
Host India overpower Australia in a tense and thrilling contest and grab the last semi-final spot in the T20 World Cup. All this as Jason Day wins the WGC Dell match play, beating Louis Oosthuizen and going on to solidify his new world #1 ranking. And that, in a nutshell, is what we'll be bringing to you in about 30 minutes or so. But now back to Elvis to give us more news.
Thank you, Kendall. He will be back later. A 3-day official mourning with the national flag flying at half-mast and education institutions closed in the Pakistani city of Lahore has been announced. The death toll in yesterday's suicide bomb attack has risen to 71, with around 340 people injured in the deadliest attack in months.
29 children have lost their lives. The funeral prayers for most victims are scheduled for today. The attack took place as Christians in Pakistan celebrated the festival of Easter. A Taliban faction has claimed responsibility for bombing at a Pakistan public park that has killed close to 70 people. More than 300 others were injured in a park in the eastern Pakistan city of Lahore. A large number of the victims were women and children, as many mothers had taken their children to the park to celebrate Easter. Authorities say the suicide bomber was carrying an estimated 8 to 10 kilograms of explosive material in his suicide vest.
We're using specialized agencies like forensics, counter-terrorism to investigate. There are certain things that can lead us to the to the probable suicide bomber and the persons who are behind this attack.
Witnesses said the park had several entrances, but none of them had a proper security checking system. All recreational parks in the city were closed after the blast and people were told to stay home. The attack was the worst so far this year in a country well used to large-scale atrocities. The government of Punjab announced 3 days of mourning over the incident. Both the country's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and President Mahmoud Hussein condemned the blast and directed hospital administration to provide the best possible medical treatment to the injured people.
President Jacob Zuma is leading a delegation of 5 cabinet ministers on a working visit to the United Arab Emirates later this morning, rather. Now, it comes as government seeks to promote the country as a top global tourism destination for visitors from the Gulf region. Yesterday, the president concluded a one-day state visit to Saudi Arabia.
Cementing long-standing relations that date back many years. Saudi Arabia is South Africa's biggest trading partner in the region, with even bigger growth prospects. Trade between the two amounts to 82 billion rand.
We would encourage our Saudi counterparts to partner with us to foster cooperation in these fields for the mutual prosperity and development of our peoples. South Africa also has a substantive competitive advantage on offer as a strategic point of entry to the Southern African region and the African continent. Opportunities for mutual partnerships between our two countries are almost limitless.
As the two leaders sat down to the business of the day, so did business delegations on the other side of town.
We are keen to develop the trade between the two countries, and we are very optimistic that we can achieve more, not only in promoting trade, but also investment on both sides.
President Zuma took time out to visit the country's historic museum. A memorandum of understanding was also signed to strengthen relations. South Africa and Saudi Arabia have agreed to maintain regular contact. They say this will be a basis to expand trade between the two countries. Mzwande Limbeche, SABC News, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Now, traffic is expected to peak today on the major routes as thousands of motorists are heading back home after the weekend. Limpopo's major routes continue to carry heavy traffic volumes as thousands of motorists are heading back home. Limpopo Transport Safety and Liaison Department statistics indicate that less people have lost their lives during the Easter weekend than last year on the province's roads. 17 people have been killed in separate crashes since Thursday. During the same period last year, 35 people died on the province's roads. Meanwhile, travelers at the Capricorn Toll Plaza on the N1 outside Louis Trichardt in Limpopo says that traffic congestion at the toll gate are causing delays. The toll gate has been experiencing long queues since early this morning for southbound vehicles towards Polokwane and Pretoria. It carries traffic from Toyondo, Beitbridge border and Elam. The detour at Botlokwa on the N1 due to road construction is causing the delays. Now, traffic volumes, as we indicated, are expected to increase throughout the day on most of the major roads in Gauteng, especially the N1 north from Limpopo. Many people will be returning from their respective Easter holiday destinations. More than 120 unroadworthy vehicles have been impounded, while scores of pedestrians were arrested for walking on freeways. For the latest hour, we're joined by Mulemo Wawan Montoa from the Pumlazi Plaza just outside Pretoria. A very good morning to you and welcome. And can you tell us, Molemo, the traffic right now, how is the build-up at that Pumlani toll gate, or toll plaza rather?
Yes, we are standing here at the Pumlani Plaza observing traffic from Limpopo into Gauteng, as the majority of holiday makers are returning from their respective Easter holiday destinations. And as it is right now, we've been here more than an hour ago, and what I can say is that traffic volumes have shown to still be very low, but now the volumes are starting to build up. And the other, we've actually also spoken to roads and traffic officials who indicated that they've arrested a number of pedestrians who were walking on freeways, as the 2015 Easter period statistics indicated that most of them actually constituted much percentage to people who died on the roads. And also they've indicated that over 1,000 unroadworthy vehicles have been impounded. As we remember, before the Easter period started, the Transport Minister, Dipuo Peters, said that actually ordered law enforcement officers not to show any mercy to any traffic transgressors. So indeed, traffic officials say there's a number of arrests that have been made. But to hear more on that, I am standing here now with Tshwane Metro's Senior Superintendent Isaac Mahamba to tell us more. Senior Superintendent, as you can you just tell us as to give us just a roundup of what happened since the start of this Easter period?
Good morning to the viewers. What we'd like to mention is that as you indicated earlier on, remember on Friday, the traffic was heading towards the direction north. That's where we had number of motorists to go into different destinations. It could be holidays, it could be to their residential area around the north area. This morning, what we can report is that from 10 and 12 currently, the number of vehicles that are coming back now to Tshwane, we've counted about 2,510 at this Pumlani Plaza. That shows now that everybody now is coming back into Tshwane area. And yes, we have been focusing all over this weekend on the transgressions on our roads. You correctly mentioned it. The statistics, the worrying factor is our pedestrians. Most of our pedestrians have been killed on our roads. What we did is that we had an operation, and that operation is still ongoing currently as I speak. If we find any motorists in our main roads, we arrest them and we book them to the nearest police station. The charge that we charge them for is the pedestrian source of danger. Currently in Tshwane, we have arrested over 48 people who were found to be committed different traffic offences. That varies from drunken driving, one we had for a stolen motor vehicle, the other ones we had, it's for the pedestrians, quite a lot number, it involves the pedestrians. And as I'm saying, we are still going to continue to be here making sure that people are safe on our roads. And what we'd like to mention again is that we will on a later stage disclose the exact statistics of the people that died on our roads, but currently we are counting 5, and 5 that I'm referring to, 2 pedestrians are also involved and 1 biker, and obviously 2, we had 1 this morning where a policeman was involved in an accident. And again, what we like to mention is that we had 2 motorists that died at Moloto Road, but that doesn't include, or it's not in our Tshwane area, it's in Ukamhlanga area. Only in Tshwane this morning we had about, or since started this Good Fridays up until this morning, we had about 5 fatalities. And we are saying as Tshwane Metropolis Department will continue to be visible our road. Our aim is to make sure that everybody is safe, and we'll make sure that those vehicles that are not good or in good roadworthy conditions, we'll deal with them. It's either we'll impound them or we'll make sure that we issue fines.
And this seemed to have been a very quiet period as compared to last year this time around. What is it that you've done differently?
Remember, what we've done differently is that last year we've made a big mistake. We focused only on our main roads, the N1, the N4, and you know, it happened that the accidents, they happened to occur inside the CBD, in our residential area. That's where now we had fatalities last year during this period. But what we've done now this year is that we've deployed our officers all over, in our residential area, in our main roads, everywhere. And the focus that we are focusing on, we are not focusing mainly on roadblocks. We want to see the traffic flowing, but as and when we see a motorist or the vehicle that is not in good roadworthy conditions, we pull it out and we do speed inspection quickly. And if there's anything that we found in a motor vehicle, we act. So what we are doing basically, we've deployed our members along the stretches of all the main roads just to make sure that they are visible. Remember, visibility again, it counts. If you see us, you know, motorists, some of them, they believe in that. When they see the traffic officials, that's where now they start behaving. So that's what we try to do this year. We spread out our officials in all the main roads. In about maybe 10-15 cases, you'll see our metropolis officers there just to make sure that they're doing law enforcement of visibility. But as I said, we are not focusing mainly on roadblocks.
In most of the vehicles, those that were impounded because of being unroadworthy, what was what were the main problems found?
The vehicles are not roadworthy. Some vehicles you'll find that the steering wheel, it's not according to the Road Traffic Act. The turning volume of the steering wheel, it's not functioning properly. Some you'll find the tires that are not, in according to the Act. Remember, it says it has to be a 10 millimeter surfaces in your tire. Some they are less than that. Some you'll find there's no lights. Some you'll find those vehicles. Yes, they've overloaded. Some you'll find again in these motor vehicles, the drivers also, they contribute because the drivers themselves, you'll find them are drunk, you'll find them that they don't fasten their safety belt, you'll find them that are still speeding. Hence, those are the numbers of the offenses that we happen to find over this weekend.
There was Senior Superintendent Mahamba of Tshwane Metro, Mulimo from Pretoria. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Molemo, with that update there. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back after that.
Get all the latest news from the SABC's online news services on our website. Breaking news and in-depth coverage of everything from business, sports to politics and lifestyle. Catch the top news clips and watch live streaming of major news events on the SABC News YouTube channel whenever. Stay connected on the SABC News Facebook page and have your say on news that matters to you. And for the latest headlines and live updates from our reporters, follow us on Twitter. SABC Digital News, anytime, anywhere.
The public protector Cella had a tough time motivating for a baseline increase of 200 million for her office budget.
We need to have a feel and idea of what types of cases are handling.
Have we addressed the structural deficiencies that led to procurement irregularities? The answer is yes.
For now, we are in a difficult situation. We are applying austerity measures.
Don't betray your trust to the people of South Africa because you have personal issues with them.
We need to protect the public protector and unashamedly doing so because she represents the hope of the people of South Africa.
I am leaving this office next year. Treat this office as a constitutional body.
A View from the House, weekdays, 2:30 p.m. CAT on SABC News.
Welcome back, and still on the roads. Let's now cross back to our reporter Mlungisi Kumalo at the Marion Hill Toll Plaza. He's standing by with the KwaZulu-Natal MEC for Transport, Community Safety and Liaison, William Mkunu. Very good morning to you once again. Can you just give us an update before you speak to the MEC?
Yes, good morning to you back there. We are here live yet again at the Marion Hill Toll Plaza. Like I said before, over 1,000 cars have passed through this toll plaza in the next hour. We see that the traffic officials are out here in their full force and out here in their whole numbers. We've got the traffic authorities from the municipality as well who are here, as well as the road traffic and inspectorates, as well as RTM, which is the road traffic management. Right here with me, I've got the MEC for Community Safety, Transport and Liaison, MEC William Mkunu, who will just give us a breakdown as to what's really happening here and why his office is out here in full force and out in numbers to ensure that all runs smoothly and people go back to our intended destinations safely. MEC, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Yes, MEC, we see that you are out here in number and out in your full force. What's the general mood today?
Well, effectively, people are leaving the province now and going back to their destinations where they originated from. Therefore, the police are here to once again send a very clear message that we will not tolerate any infringement of the road rules. We have done well over the weekend, but as with the police have done very well. More than 86,000 vehicles have been stopped in just these few days of the weekend. But in that time, more than 18,000 vehicles have been charged. Amongst them, there are 230 drunk drivers arrested. And there are 35 speedsters that have been arrested. So we are not very impressed with the performance of our drivers on our roads. We are not certain whether we will retain the record that we started over the festive season. So the people of KwaZulu-Natal, as well as our visitors, have once again let us down. We are likely to be the #1 province in terms of road deaths again. In this Marion Hill Toll Plaza, between 9 and 10, more than 2,000 vehicles had gone past. So in 1 hour, more than 2,000 vehicles have been going past. In that time, therefore, that depicts the number of visitors we have had in our province. We expect it to peak as we go up again. And we are still calling on all drivers, let's respect the rules of the roads and save lives.
MEC, you did mention that the number of people that have been caught drunk driving in our roads has escalated. Of course, this is not the only holiday that we have. I mean, for future reference, what's the strategy next to ensure that these numbers do not increase?
There is nothing that will assist short of very strong legal provisions. People who deliberately go, drink, get drunk, and then get behind the wheel must never be given bail at all. And there must be harsher sentences. And that is what we have called for all the time. We are happy that the minister is going into that direction of strengthening the laws, working together, obviously, with other departments that are responsible for the criminal justice system. But it must be crime. It must be crime if you do things deliberately and you know they are within your control as a driver and they are likely to kill people. It must be a crime. If we don't escalate it to that, people will do what they are doing at the present moment with impunity. Imagine, only 230 drivers were caught drunk in one weekend. How many more were not caught but were drunk? Because police are not everywhere and they are not monitoring everybody. So there must be a lot more out there. And that's an arrogant stance of drivers.
MEC, you did mention your disappointment, but yes, I do understand that we have good news to go by. We did hear that from the 24th and from the 24th to the 28th of this month during the Easter period, there's never been any serious fatalities on the road whereby more than 3 people have died. What's the major attribute to that?
Well, we would want to say, firstly, it is the driver behavior. Because drivers can save these lives of more than 10 people, more than 5 people at the same time. But secondly, the police visibility has been so much that they have acted as a deterrent themselves. And I applaud the work of the police right through this festive season. And remember, whilst all of us were enjoying either church services or home gatherings, these police officers, all of them, never had a weekend at all. So we must applaud their role. Even today, they will still be along the roads until tomorrow.
Thank you very much, MEC. Yes, you did mention that you have applauded the officers who have been here throughout the holidays. Whilst we were enjoying ourselves, they were here. MEC, post these holidays, post the Easter, what strategies do you have in place to ensure that police visibility still goes on across the province?
We have started that process already. We have a 24-hour service in our province. Therefore, there will be police. It doesn't mean that they are on the road simply because it's Easter weekend. They will be on the road all the time for 24 hours, and they will also be mounting roadblocks in all the hotspot areas, and they are many. Our province is big. Our province is a visitor destination, so it has a lot of traffic congestion and therefore many accidents.
Thank you very much, MEC. As you heard from the MEC himself, our province is the biggest in the whole entire country. It is the most visited province in the whole entire country as well. Just briefly, just giving you figures, we have indicated that we've had over 2,000 cars that have passed through the Marion Hill Toll Plaza. We also do know that tourism in the city, in eThekwini, is booming. According to latest figures and stats, we did hear that the city alone has generated over 500 million in revenue by tourists visiting our country. You've heard it from the MEC himself. Police, as you can see right here behind me, there's a lot of police visibility, and authorities are out in their numbers and out in full force. Back to you in studio. Thank you.
That was our reporter Mlungisi Kumalo coming to us live from Marion Toll Plaza. You can see very, very busy there with the MEC talking to him. Now, a remarkable man is our Dr. Chief Nausep Richard Kutela, was commonly known and referred to. This remarkable man, this hero and educator, was the author of 3 books which focus on the indigenous Kukuhokwap, or the Nama language. The 4th book was about folklore, or as the great chief himself used to refer it as, Volksverhalen. Now, he was laid to rest on Saturday. Now, those who knew the great Chief Kutela knows of his crusade for the return of the historical land of his forefathers, more specifically that of the Southern Cape. Now, to talk to us about the legacy of Chief Melvin is Chief Melvin Arendse and the youth coordinator from the National Khoisan Kingdom, Tanyan Gladwell. A very good morning to both of you and welcome.
Good morning, Elvis.
Chief, let's start off with you. Tell us more about Chief Dr. Richard Kutela. Who was he and what was his contribution to the Khoisan?
Good morning, Elvis, and thank you. I think that's a very difficult question to answer, in the sense that even if I had 2 years at my disposal, I couldn't possibly summarize the extent of his contribution to the country, to the whole of Khoi, but especially the Kaikurana people of South Africa. And I think, I don't think I would be able to do justice in a few minutes but I will try to give you a few pointers in terms of who he was. What I can say is that the sum of his life was giving, forgiveness, and love. But I think purpose in terms of who we are as Khoi, that our claim as Khoi is inseparable from our lifestyles and our conduct towards others. So I think, in short, I can say that he was the most meaningful person in terms of his life that I have known. And in a nutshell, if you should try and explain the contribution from him as a young man, as a student apprentice of First Nation medicine, to a veteran of the liberation struggle in Umkhonto we Sizwe, to his activist for the Khoi emancipation and the restoration of Khoi in South Africa, each would require a few days just to give you a brief summary. But for now, what I can say is there's nothing that could comprehend the loss for our people, the Kaikuranas, the devastation to our Majesty Kuba Taibos Chafta Davids, our royal family, the national Kaikurana leadership, and the Kutela family. I don't think there's anything that can compensate for the sense and reality of devastation at this point.
How do you think he must be remembered by all South Africans?
I think all South Africans have the opportunity to ask ourselves, how far are we from the ideals of the South Africa we speak about so often, the ideals that we fought for since the colonial times. Since the colonial times and the apartheid era, so many people have contributed to a better South Africa in terms of meaningful identity, recognition for our people. Our question should be, how do we remember Kutela and all those before him who have pointed to us that regardless of our titles and our position and our resources and our political positions, we have an obligation to show all South Africans that we are still committed to the ideals of a tolerant and a forgiving South Africa. And looking at his departure and the time of his departure, I would say if we want to remember him more or less in a respectful manner, I would say that we have a lot of effort to invest in showing South Africa as Khoi that we have the stature in our memory of our ancestors to still carry the responsibility of fighting for South Africa, building South Africa. And the sum of Kutela would be that we have an obligation in our daily lives, not in meetings or in gathering, but in our lives, in our conduct, to fight for the restoration of our people by virtue of respect, and specifically respect for other cultures in the Western Cape, specifically the Xhosa people, the Muslim people who have been our partners in building this province, and many other cultures, even our white communities who have contributed extensively. And I think the sum of Kutela would be to recognize the efforts of all those people towards the restoration, because we never fought for our freedom exclusively, but we have always fought for it collectively with others. And therefore, I would say the sum of Kutela's life would be the respect and recognition of others as we demand respect and recognition as Kaikorana and Khoi.
Now, Tanya, as the youth, how did Dr. Kutela influence you, and what can the youth learn from him as an educator and as a man that fought for the Khoisan?
Well, for us, it's exceptionally important to know that many of our youth are not even aware of this great leader. They are not aware of our education within our Khoi. Many of our people are still called under the terminology of coloured, and we are needing to explore that and actually educate our people to understand that we are the Khoisan, we are the Aboriginal people of this nation. And that being said, it is not being racist about anything. It is just being open to accepting who we really are. And to lose a leader like this at this time is paramount to us, where we are to acknowledge who we are, to move forward in unity, to understand that our people need us to work together. Because if you look at our so-called coloured community at the moment, especially amongst our youth, you know, social ills are rife. And a leader like this has written 3 to 4 books telling us exactly how to live a better lifestyle. And like our chief so rightfully said, that it is not about just saying I'm Khoi. It is about living that I'm Khoisan. And to say that we are the kind of people that have always held hands and have always been able to say we are a peaceful nation, open and direct about everything, transparent, and living a life that is full of culture and diversity.
Chief, let me come back to you quickly. Who attended the funeral of Dr. Kutela?
Well, unfortunately, not all could attend who would have liked to attend. There was a number of logistical issues and challenges related to resources that prevented a lot of our Khoi people from attending. Unfortunately, these are some of the challenges that we had to overcome. However, we would like to extend our gratitude to Oma Katrina of the San people, specifically all the Griqua people who attended, especially special thanks to the Nama people represented by Senior Chief Paul Swartboy, and a number of our other leaders, and we could possibly not have the list drawn out long enough. There wasn't sufficient space in the hall to accommodate all, but a special thanks also to the Katskurana house, Chantal Revel, and the Katskurana people who attended. So we are grateful for all the leaders. I will have to apologize if I left out some, but a special thanks also to one of our houses, the Gorogoqua chief, Henny van Wyk, and a number of our people, unfortunately, who could not be physically in time, but who arrived late. But all I can do is extend our sincere thanks on behalf of Kuba Ataibos, Jafta Davids, the Kurana people, and the Kutela family, to all the leaders who could attend.
I hate to rush you there, Chief, but there's one more important question. The crusade for the return of the historical land of the Khoisan, has that now been probably dealt a blow by the death of Dr. Kutela?
Not necessarily. The admiration that we have for him is that he knew his time would come eventually, and he made adequate preparations in ensuring that his tribes, the clans of the Western Cape, are adequately educated in terms of their obligation, not just to the Kaikurana nation in terms of land, because land does not exclusively belong to a particular group of Khoi or particular bloodline, but it is the collective responsibility of all of us to ensure that all Khoi and their claim to land is recognized and adequately recognized, that the sovereignty of every Khoi clan is recognized and not exclusively one particular king, or that is what he made sure of. And as the Kaikurana, we will make sure that when it comes to the land question, what he fought for and his predecessors was full and complete restoration, but not in ignorance of the needs of other communities who is also in need of land today, regardless of the devastation to us and our birthright and the economic exclusion it brought about. Today in 2016, there are other realities of land needs as well across the provinces, which we are sensitive to. Therefore, the question of land restitution is pivotal to the future of Khoi descendants, but it also cannot be entertained in isolation of other land realities.
Chief,
Thank you.
Unfortunately, that's where I got to leave it. That was Chief Melvin Arendse, as well as the youth coordinator from the National Khoisan Kingdom, Tanya Gladwell, joining us from our Cape Town studio. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us. Right now, it's time for your sports with Kendall Makamate.
Elvis, thank you very much. Now, topping our sports stories for this particular sports bulletin, now, India are through to the semi-finals of the ICC World T20 competition, this in their home country. The hosts beat Australia by 6 wickets in their quarter-final match. Australia won the toss, chose to bat first and scored 160 in their allotted 20 overs. India chased it down in sublime fashion, with Virat Kohli starring with the bat.
With qualification not a given yet for both sides, this final Group 2 match was always going to be a humdinger. The Aussies won the toss and elected to bat first, and boy did they put on a show. Usman Khawaja and Aaron Finch raced to 53 without loss by the 4th over.
And he goes again, this time a little bit wide in mid-on, won't get it. It was close, but it's back-to-back sixes.
Ashish Nehra, though, stopped the hemorrhaging somewhat when he dismissed Khawaja. And that slowed down the Aussies' assault as the next two wickets, that of David Warner and captain Stephen Smith, fell for less than 30 runs.
Yes, the finger goes up, the batsman still.
Glenn Maxwell, though, continued with the run scoring, chipping in with 32 of 31 balls before he was out.
The shot again, and this could be out. Shikhar Dhawan is coming under it, takes the catch.
Shane Watson, who had announced that his retirement from the game would continue after this World Cup, picked up the mantle and led the Aussies to a respectable 160 in their allotted 20 overs.
So here it is, the last ball of the innings. And he's hit it beautifully. And it's out of here, 6 to finish. So they will finish with 160, Australia.
In reply, India knew exactly what they had to do. Score at just around 9 runs to the over, and a semi-final spot is looming in their home competition.
Away with a boundary. First ball to Dhawan is a boundary through the offside.
Then the unthinkable happened.
Does go straight up in the air. Will it be taken? It's taken. Very good from Australia. Dhawan's gone.
Enter Virat Kohli. But then Rohit Sharma let it slip.
He just knows what he's doing, Shane Watson. He has a gut feel about the batsman. And Australia have 2.
Watson was not done. Suresh Raina giving the all-rounder his second of the evening.
That given. Watson has another. Australia have 3.
With wickets falling at regular intervals, it was then up to Yuvraj Singh and Virat Kohli to guide India home.
The bottom hand of Virat Kohli gets a boundary.
And King Kohli delivered.
He advances, he goes in the air. There is long off, he can only watch it go over his head. 4-4-6. Was to the man, but hit too hard. That hurts Australia, that hurts them so much.
India cruising home by 6 wickets.
Here we go, the final over. They need 4. Well, you might as well hit it for 6. MS Dhoni, the skipper, has done it. India have made the semi-finals of the ICC World 2020. They have brought their best to Chandigarh. We haven't really seen their best game, and we knew today was going to be a special game, Sonny. These two always have a humdinger of a game. What a beauty we've witnessed.
Absolute beauty.
Tabiso Sitole, SABC News.
Now, even though Bafana Bafana drew their away match against Cameroon over the weekend, Limpopo Kekana scored what some already calling a surefire entry into this year's Pushkash Awards. He rifled a bullet from 56 meters out to beat the helpless Cameroonian goalkeeper. You've got some comments that you gave us on social media. Let's see what it is that you've got to say about this goal and other things that matter to you. Hans says Limpopo Kekana's goal does not surprise me. He's been scoring those types of goals. Yes, he's been having it. In fact, Sundowns have been having it, isn't it? Dominic Chimavi from Bafana Bafana says Limpopo Kekana's goal is making waves in the UK with media houses unanimous. It will win this year's FIFA Pushkash Goal of the Year award. It's a little early, but definitely it is a contender. Kuchisho, number 14, says superb goal from Limpopo Kekana against Cameroon on Saturday. Fantastic stuff. Yes, we are definitely celebrating that goal by Limpopo. Gabelo Isaac Mutibi, we should start voting for the FIFA.com Pushkash Award for Goal of the Year 2016. Limpopo Kekana, Bafana Bafana, FIFA Pushkash Award, proudly SA. Fantastic. This definitely making waves all over the place, and all the right news we're hearing out of that particular draw, which we should have and could have won. Now, even though that goal was actually part of a draw, let's have a closer look at exactly what Limpopo Kekana did on that Saturday.
Wow! Can you believe it? Ke bone Limpopo Kekana ila ha ba tsa khileo a bona o ka rona le sengwe se bitsang sense of awareness o na itse gore o go kae go tshwara dino go kae.
Well, there it is. Definitely be looking out for that goal when FIFA does announce its Puskás Awards nominees and entries. Now, Banyana Banyana, whose preparations for the 2016 Olympic Games have been fruitful so far, got a 2-0 win over Cameroon over the weekend. The clash was the first of 2 international friendlies against their Cameroonian counterparts in Douala, with the second encounter taking place tonight. After their 2-0 win against Cameroon's women's national team at the Reunification Stadium in Douala on Friday the 23rd of March, Sasol Banyana Banyana are in full preparation for the second installment taking place at the Omnisport Stadium in Limbe at 7 p.m. tonight.
The game that we'll be playing is very important, looking at the fact that we didn't really play well in our first game, but we managed to win 2-0. But we've been working with the coach. The coach has been trying to rectify all the mistakes that we've done, and we're very confident as a team that will do well.
For Sasol Banyana Banyana, the second round against the Lionesses is not only a practice match, but a significant milestone for skipper Janine van Wyk, who will be playing her 125th game, making her the most capped female footballer in South African history.
I'm really honoured to be representing my team, my country, and each and every time I step out on the field of play for my country, you know, I always go out there and give my best. I've never thought that I would come such a long way with the team. It's been 11 years participating in the team as a country. For me, it's an honour and a privilege, and hopefully I could, you know, reach many more caps.
She breaks the former captain of Sasol Banyana Banyana's stellar record of 124 caps. The team feels confident that they were prepared for the match and are looking forward to entertaining football against Cameroon's Lionesses. Now, as you know by now, Louis Oosthuizen lost out on the WGC Dell match play title to Australian Jason Day, who returned to #1 in the world. Day beat Oosthuizen 5-4 in the final to clinch his 6th win in his last 13 tournaments worldwide. This is what they had to say when the dust had settled.
Very, very pleased to be the champion again. It was a interesting week, to say the least. I mean, it's not even thinking about playing Thursday after Wednesday with the tweak back on 15T, and then getting to #1 on Saturday, and then winning on Sunday. It was a very, very strange week, but glad to be in it, and glad to get it through and get the win. It's been good momentum for me, confidence-wise, over the last 2 weeks. I can't get comfortable with how I'm playing right now. I can't get lazy because I got to, you know, understand that what I'm doing is working. So I got to keep working on the things that, you know, have caused me to win over the last 2 weeks, and keep doing that, and then stay focused and hopefully put on the green jacket. But it is going to be a tough one. I mean, it's great to hopefully go there at #1. And it's something that you know, I'm definitely going to embrace, because it'll be fun walking through those gates at #1 in the world.
Okay, but nothing spectacular, and just couldn't make a birdie. So up against a guy like Jason, you need to go at 3-4 under to have a chance. I mean, you know, I hit the ball well. I did shots that I wanted to. So you know, I think if you're playing well, it doesn't really matter what you're playing, match play or stroke play. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of positive I'll take out of this week.
All right, that's exactly where we're going to leave it with the sports. My name is Kendall Makhamate, and I hand over back to Elvis.
Thank you, Kendall. Now, President Jacob Zuma has appealed to all road users to take road safety seriously this Easter weekend. He says it's unnecessary deaths caused by reckless and drunk driving. That must stop. And he asked also for church leaders to pray for politicians. Meanwhile, the editor of the Gupta-owned New Age newspaper, Muhsin Williams, says that the paper stands by its story that it ran on ANC factions last week. Political activists and analysts have warned of a looming calamity caused by perceived influence of big corporates in the running of the South African government affairs. Social commentator Dr. Leonard Martin now joins us to take a look at the week that passed. A very warm welcome to you, Doctor. Welcome.
Thank you, Elvis.
And first and foremost, let's start with the Easter weekend church services. The President asked for divine intervention, it seems like, from the churches to pray for the politicians. What can we read from this request?
I think what we can read, first of all, is the importance of the congregations. Secondly, the importance of religious institutions in South African culture, particularly at this time of the year. But as for divine intervention, I think it's a two-way street. that politicians themselves have to actually uphold the values of integrity, of transparency, but more importance of probity in terms of the appeal for divine intervention. What the religious institutions can do is, of course, to mobilize our congregations to uphold these values regardless of the crises that we may confront from time to time.
Does politics and the church really mix?
Well, we are a republic. We are a democratic republic. The two spheres are separate and ought to remain so because of the diversity of religious institutions in our country. And I think it's important for politicians to appeal to these congregations. But the principle of our republic is that these two spheres should not be conflated.
Now, first it was the fracas that erupted around the president and his relationship with the Guptas, and then we saw the deputy president, Cyril Ramaphosa, implicated in having discussions with billionaire Johan Rupert, and a charge was laid by the president's son, by the way, this week. Now, analysts suggest that this could have far-reaching ramifications. What's your thoughts on that?
I think at the center of this is the management of these developments, that they should not become out of control of South African society and the various interest groups that are implicated. At the heart of all this is South Africa as a democratic society. And I think that should be maintained. Otherwise, we risk losing the plot in terms of what comes first, and that is our country.
Now, this all stems to state capture. Should we be worried about this development?
I think South Africa is a sovereign republic. And when the word state capture comes in, we can read it two ways. Either as the major device of allegations, which do not really serve South African society, or these could be a warning sign that the fabric of our republic as a democratic society is in fact in danger. And I think both should be kept in mind when we begin to critically understand these allegations. But on the whole, any state capture anywhere in the world would be of great concern to the people as a whole.
We just had a discussion with the Khoisan Kingdom around the death of Dr. Kutela in the Western Cape. What will that do for the nation, the Khoisan nation as a whole, and the inspiration that he had as a leader?
Well, very clearly, Dr. Kutela was a treasure for South Africa as a whole, in terms of the deep work he did in terms of our past, our historical past. So on the one hand, it's a loss to the Khoisan community, but on the other hand, it's also a meeting point with unity becoming a key issue among the Khoisan. And Dr. Kutela stood for the unity of all Khoisan groups. And I think that's significant in terms of his death, the legacy that we can actually draw on.
Doctor, unfortunately, we run out of time. Thank you so much for your time and joining us here, as usual, on a Monday, giving us a rundown of the week that was and the things that happened during the course of the week, and, of course, what impact you as a society here in South Africa. Social commentator, Dr. Leonard Martin, on our weekly slot. That's where we got to leave it. Unfortunately, we've run completely out of time today. We hope to see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place, right here on your favorite channel, Channel 404. This is Newsroom. Ciao for now. From myself, Elvis Preston, and the crew. We'll see you then. Arrivederci.